And let's see. And welcome everyone to Friday Night Live with the Soul Citizens. And it is, I'm not going to say me first. I'm going to say the guy on my left first, Kimmy65 and Griffin Gaming RPG. Kimmy, how you doing, buddy?
Audio 7 to chat. Audio 7 to you, Griff. How are you tonight?
Another fun-filled Friday night, my friend. I'm back with you again. We had a good time last time, and you had a good time last week with our good friend Fastcart. Fastcart.
Oh yeah, man. We had a definitely good time, and it's good that you're back so we can get this thing rolling.
Yeah,
all new, all fresh.
We got a busy night tonight, busy weekend, and a lot going on. Yeah, you think, right? Right? Okay.
We know it is, man.
I know. It's going to be a big night tonight. Listen, we want to, first of all, tell you guys thanks for tuning in for this again on another Friday night. We want to remind you that this is a live interactive talk show. It's not just any old talk show. We want you to be able to come on the show and talk with us. Kimmy and I love talking to folks. You want to fire up Kimmy? I'm telling you, you come in with them and that'll get them going. We want to be able to talk with you guys about Star Citizen. There's a lot going on. Some of the subjects I know, Kimmy, that we're going to talk about tonight are going to get some folks primed. So we're going to look forward to seeing you guys.
Me.
Yeah, including you. Carl Pian, good to see you. Ops Chief, as always, good to see you. 07. And Fastcart stuck himself in here, even though he is probably gaming tonight with his buddies. He always has us on in the background while he's doing his gaming thing, but he'll stop in probably later.
He lurking. He lurking tonight.
Always. Man, I don't know where to begin, Kimmy. There's a lot of stuff going on. Normally, you guys know, we usually will do a little bit of Inside Star Citizen ISC. We usually do the Friday night show, which could be calling all devs or whatever it is. We know we do that. But tonight, we are going to do both of those. But we've got some additions tonight. In particular, we're going to do ISC first, but then we're going to talk about, Kimmy, why don't you tell them what happened today with Chris? Tell them real quick what happened.
Oh, my gosh. What was it? Posted a little after 5 this morning, Griff. And I'm just doing work, and it was the CR himself, the CEO posted, man. CR was posting, and we were like, wait a minute, this is an urban legend. This is not real.
This is only the third time, actually, that he has posted in Spectrum. This is only the third time. So you're right. When it's rare when it happens. Yeah, but tell them what the basics of it was about.
Well, and then the premise of when you're talking about the timetable, it was like 4 years later, right? But it lets you know how involved in the details this cat is. He's into the details. He's you think he's not focused on some things or some things slipped. 4 years later, he's bringing up the environments and the rooms, the containers in the rooms, the room system, and he pretty much said the room system has been in the game for quite a while and fully works, including equalization of gases, atmospheres between room volumes.
All right, don't tell them too much now.
That dissipation of the global room.
Don't tell them too much. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Don't tell them too much. I just wanted to give them a piece of it.
So you got to dial me back, Griff.
You told me. You warned me ahead of time. You warned me ahead of time. I'll admit that. You warned me. All right. It's okay. I appreciate the enthusiasm. So that's going to be the big thing that we're going to talk about a little bit, guys. So the cool thing about this, and Kimmy and I were talking about this before the show, is that a lot of people either didn't know about this system that's in the game or didn't even realize that it was something that had been worked on from 4 years ago. And because for the old timers who were here 4 years ago, they remember hearing about it, but then they were like, well, it's been 4 years later. Where is it at? And Chris, like Kimmy said, gave some revelations today about it. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to go ahead and go into today's, it was a different kind of developer piece tonight. You guys know the ship show is going on right now, the showdown. And so they brought on several of the devs, and Tyler Whitkin came on, and they basically did like who they thought which ships would win. So we're going to cover a little bit of that.
Bachelor.
And you're going to hear me and
Weisenbaum,
and
you had Yogi Klatt.
Right. And me and Kimmy are going to do our assessment too on which ships we think along with them and do a little bit of a comparison. So that'll be something else to look forward to. And then we got a really cool machinima tonight, Kimmy, that I think people are going to really appreciate. It really shows off some of the ships in the game that we've never really even seen really flying very much. So I can't wait till you guys see this thing. So let's jump into the ISC.
Strapping tight, y'all.
Yep, get ready. Get your drinks, get whatever it is you need, gang. We are going to fire it up.
And the cheers.
We're going to fire it up. Lucky, good to see you. And I saw somebody else come in. Tekmar, our winner for the ship last week. Good to have you back, man. Tekmar won one of our ships last week, and he was happy as a clam. So it's good to see you back, buddy. Let's go ahead and jump into the ISC. And this ISC's got some good stuff, too. So let's hit that.
Yes.
I don't necessarily think that bigger is better when it comes to spaceships.
For example, with the 100i, being a small ship, you're a small target in battle. Your cargo's easily accessible, and if there's maintenance to be done on your components, it's all there to hand. These are examples of why a small ship does have its place.
A lot of the time with ships, there'll be many changes made from concept to final. Thankfully with the 100 series, however, that hasn't really happened. Obviously it was very important for us to keep the look of that initial concept going, which we've managed to do.
I found that working on a small interior such as the 100, you have these specific areas that have a unique purpose, and the difference of working on a small ship like the 100i is everything is contained in this small space.
When the 100i was initially concepted, we were obviously going off the metrics that were being used at the time, and since then metrics have been updated. So for the dashboard, for example, we've now gone into a more physicalized dashboard where every button can be interacted with. This will be the first new ship using this new mechanic.
It's always a challenge trying to fit everything you need to into a small package. For example, with the seat, we had to raise to accommodate for the landing gear from the exterior.
Although an issue through making an animation to work, it actually provided a nice result in the end because it kind of separated the pilot from the living space, even though in tight confined space it gave a feeling of a separation.
So the components went through a couple of iterations of placement and layout just to try and maximize the space. The bed went through a couple of iterations in terms of animations and placement.
So the pilot will have that default logout option in their ship. So no need to worry about going out somewhere, being lost and having to find somewhere else to log out. You can log out in the 100 series. One of the evolutions of the 100 series was the missile launchers. In order to not change the look of the exterior of the ship, we built these bespoke missile launchers that are tucked underneath the ship itself. So the 100i and the other two variants will all have a missile launcher at the front of the ship, which is tucked away, and the 125A has an extra bigger missile launcher also at the rear of the ship. Now these are completely hidden away, so again you wouldn't notice them at first, which helps us keep the nice sleek appearance of the 100 series in place. I'm very pleased with how the 100 series has gone personally.
Being able to focus on a smaller contained area and actually focus those details in has been refreshing.
It's been a great experience. It's very fun to work on. I learned a lot of new things.
There's been very little change made, no major issues.
I hope players, when they fly the ship, get a sense of grandeur and class when they're flying it.
All right, Kimmy, I've got to jump in here. That piece ended totally right. Hopefully when you fly the ship, you'll have grandeur and class. Yes, the origins have spoken. I got to throw it in for a hot minute. Let me ask you a question. Was this a surprise to you to see all three of the Origins 100 series ready to roll?
Well, knowing that it's Origin, first and foremost, you love the manufacturer.
Yes, yes, I like Origin. I'm not as crazy as Tint is about it. Yeah, I'm not as crazy as Tint.
Though. But honestly, though, Griff, it's refreshing to see. It gives a change of pace as far as style and design. And when we're talking about military versus non-military, at least on the cosmetic level, right? So it's good to see them expanding out with the manufacturer. So yeah, I was digging it, man. I was digging it.
Good. You know, one of the things I think you talked about this before about the variety from the different manufacturers. This adds one more manufacturer that has a
Yes.
starter ship. And Admiral, I saw your comment earlier. You said if it's got no pillow, that's a problem. I agree. This is an origin ship. They put this sucker's a flatbed like an Aurora. Should at least be a blanket and a pillow in an origin ship. So this is what I will say though. I looked at the internals on the ship, and some people. I remember Ops Chief made this comment to me the other day. He talked about the way the ship looked in the brochure versus what we saw. Exterior wise, they hit it on the mark. On the interior, it is definitely slightly different. Now, we don't know if that's because it's unfinished and they haven't, done the complete finishing on it, because usually that's one of the last things, the polishing of the inside of the ship. But I did like the fact that they showed that it held multiple components, even though it's a tight fit. That back panel had like three or four components in the back of the ship. And they did show the slab, the bed that came out, which was pretty neat. I was just surprised that all three of them, I guess I shouldn't be, because we knew Origin has been working on this, but it was cool for them to unveil it by showing the 890, then the 600, and then showing the 100 series ship. So do you have any 100s? Or matter of fact, and I've never even asked you, the only starter ship you have is an LN, right? You got the Aurora LN. That's your baby, right?
Well, I have the vehicle, Griff, that G12, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I really dig that, and it matches well with the Cutlass Black. So
yes, yeah, yep. You're right.
I'm digging it. Right.
That's cool.
But you know what? You made a point right there, Griff, and it was an aha moment, which I didn't know this. But you just made a point, and I want to highlight what you said. You just said, and tell me whether or not, or if Chad agrees, you said that the components were inside the ship. If that's not a damn luxury, I don't know what is. Can you imagine in these single seat ships that basically you're going to have to get out, hot wire, rig it up in EVA.
Yeah.
Whereas in the 890, you can just stretch back or lean this way.
Yeah.
If that ain't a luxury, I don't know what is. Good point.
That's a good point, because we don't know, like on ships like the Aurora and stuff. You're right; they don't really show any component locations in those ships, so you got to assume it's outside, right? Which is going to be interesting. But yeah, that's an interesting point. Thanks for mentioning that. But I am happy. I've got a 100. Not just because it's Origin. I actually like the design of it out of all of them. Even if it wasn't, it just had a little bit more enclosed feel. It kind of reminded me, of course, like a smaller version of the 300. So that kind of drew me to it a little bit more. But I was asking earlier though, as far as starter ships, is the LN the only one you've got? Because I know you love the LN, the Aurora. Is that the only starter you own, or do you own another one?
I would say, I don't know, would the Arrow be considered a starter?
No, that's a light fighter. That's probably the starter fighter, if anything. But that's not even a starter fighter, to be honest with you. I think that's a pretty fair, formidable fighter. You put that right next to the Gladius, so that's cool. Okay, all right. But the LN is the one you've got. So I know that, and everybody loves that.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody loves the LN, and that's all you hear. Nothing but good stuff about that ship. So. Okay, well, that was the first part of this, guys. We're going to jump into this part 2 and hear what else they have to say about this inside Star Citizen.
While the 100 series of starter ships is making its way through the ship pipeline ahead of its debut in the upcoming Alpha 311, the front-end experience for Star Citizen itself is being refined via the use of building blocks. Now, while this next version may look and feel much the same as you've already been used to, the conversion itself will provide improved reliability and set the stage for additional functionality down the line.
So what we did this quarter is,
don't forget, you guys are welcome to jump in with us.
To the new
just hit that link and chop on in.
Converting the rest of the game over to, and what this is doing is it's
setting
us up for the future,
Austin Studio.
Further expansion of our front end experience, and we wanted to walk you through what we've done so far. This is the new UI that we've put together. You'll notice that there's a lot more real estate because we do have a lot of panoramic shots we want to swap out for the players on a regular basis. What we will get to is some sort of character selection where you can see your character in the middle of this screen here. And so this is kind of setting us up for the future of that. You notice we got the videos running in the background of these buttons here. So we preserved that from the Flash
building
implementation.
blocks.
We've got the friends list here and the notifications list here, but one thing I wanted to show you that we thought was pretty cool is we actually allowed these to pin to the side of the screen now. So kind of emphasizes that freeing up the space so that you can see these cool backgrounds that we're putting into the game here for you. So on the way in, we wanted to try and think about the players that have never played our game before. So what do they need to do here? There's a drop down here that they need to fill in, and once they do, cool, you get another drop down, right? So we're trying to guide the new players through this process a little bit more, a little more hand holding. But what we've got here is we've got a bunch of different backgrounds so that you can kind of see the location that you're going to. We thought that was a really important thing to try and put into place, and and then you could join the game, right? So going back to our main screen here, I've got a party invite, and bam, there you go. So all the previous functionality still exists, right? Now, one thing I want you to see here, people were kind of talking about like, man, I really wish I had a way to kind of get rid of all these. Well, guess what? We added a button that will literally clear all of the passive notifications, and text here will kind of be changed to indicate that as well, say a clear passive or something along those lines. But so you remember we had that huge pop-up in the middle of the screen here that was just kind of ugly. It kind of overlaps some of these other UI elements. It was a little clunky, and while we're still in the process of kind of honing in on the size of this window here, you'll kind of notice that the region selection is now down in the corner here. And one of the things we're actually going to do before you guys get your hands on is we're actually going to make this pop up instead of down here. So we call it a drop up. So by converting this all over, it allows us to have much better control over the UI as a whole, so that as we transition back and forth between these screens, it's a wholesale clear or fade of the UI. So I know what you guys are thinking. This looks a lot like what we had before, but what is really important to understand is that this puts the entire front end that everything else hooks into a modular system that we can expand on really easily. So somebody wants to add a new game mode, Theaters of War perhaps, done. It's a single button, it goes right in. If we want to add a new character customizer or expand on just the other things that tie into the front end, like cool, now we show your character in the middle, now we show an organization list or whatever it is, it's going to hook in super easy, and that's what this is really all about here.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that with the 100 series, good things can still come in small packages. That just because you're starting out in the verse doesn't mean you have to look like it. And that Building Blocks continues to be the tool allowing our designers a modular system that can be easily expanded upon and further configured as development continues. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you next week.
All right, Kimmy, why don't you give me some thoughts there about the whole Building Blocks piece there? What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, let me just jump in here, Griff. Thank you. What Rob said, and I'm not going to fall for the little bait with just toe. When you look at where we are, and we're currently in a free flight for about 2 weeks. You can get in Star Citizen and play for 2 weeks. So what does that mean? It translates to making the front end a little more user friendly for new people. Now, big picture going forward, they're pretty much, in my bones, in my opinion, they're setting it up so when we're talking about when we get these foundational blocks in, the foundational tech, you're talking about an advent of more potential players and backers jumping in. So they want to make this as modular and friendly as possible so that if they need to make some adjustments on the fly, boom, they can do it. But I'm liking this. It tells you that they are prepping for something big.
Okay. I'm pretty impressed with it. Yeah. I'm pretty impressed with it. You just mentioned about the fact that this week they've got the free fly going on, and this is also another time I think that they've kind of alluded to the fact that this is also testing. They also have a different way that you have to come into the game now if you want to do the free fly. They're trying to avoid some of the fiasco that happened when we had Invictus, when so many people came in. There was also, if I'm not mistaken, I think the first day that this started off, they raised $200,000. I don't know if you heard that yet, but they're still bringing in money. You know what I mean? After all this, and I would kind of think this would be kind of a dead time between Invictus and, the anniversary, but evidently people are still signing up and still jumping in and buying stuff, which is pretty amazing to me. At this stage in the game, that there's that much money in one day.
I actually had conversation about that, Griff, whereas when where they were doing the contest and the Caterpillar came back up for sale, people were like, "Oh crap, the cat! I need it!" And they were scrambling to buy it. And I'm looking at the price. I'm like, "Holy smokes! Here we go again."
I didn't get it.
So it's all good.
Well, I don't get it. One, because we're within such close proximity to anniversary. So my assumption is that this must be people who are new. I hate to say that, who are doing it, because the old timers right now, even if they've got money burning in their pocket, they're kind of like waiting. You know what I mean? Because they know the anniversary is coming within a month. And so to me, that says it's got to be new money. Now, maybe there are some people, they only gave like a 2-year, it was 24 months this time, right? Insurance that they were giving on the ships this time around. So
yes, 24 months.
It's not like the typical 6 month and it's 2 years, but man, most of us probably figure in October, if they've been giving away 10 years now, at the big events, that they'll probably do the same thing again this time. So, I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. Evidently, though, people are still, regardless of what people think about Squadron 42 and the timeline and the bugs, people are still buying stuff and jumping into the game. So,
speaking
go figure.
Bugs, Griff, speaking of bugs.
Yeah.
The 30Ks for me are going to that status of urban legend. They are far and few and far between for me going into the game. And I remember one instance I got in, I had to get up and do something, and my avatar was standing there. And if that avatar is standing in one spot for like 90 seconds, right? And it's a done deal. I came back. 20, 30 minutes later, I said, "Oh snap, I left the game running. I'm still standing there."
Yep.
I'm like, "Oh."
Yep. There's been a lot of comments about the fact that the 30Ks seem like they have been decreasing, which is good, right? And I think that people forget that CIG, you don't have to get a patch on our end, on the client end, in order for things to be getting fixed with the game. A lot of times people are waiting, right? They're waiting on a patch and they think, "Oh, it's the next," but they are constantly doing updates to the server and doing stuff on their end that can help alleviate those problems. So, it's great that you mentioned that, though, because sometimes you kind of miss that observation that, hey, I haven't crashed and I've been playing for 5 hours and no crash. Last week I was playing the game and I was crashing every 30 minutes. So that's a great observation that you mentioned, Kimmy. Let's go ahead and jump into this next topic, because this is the one that we've been kind of itching to get into a little bit, and it was in a post that popped on Spectrum today. Kamaral, so many of you guys know his videos. Kamaral's the guy who puts out those videos where he's always testing like the shields against missiles and stuff against the various ships. He puts out a lot of YouTube content, and he made a post basically just kind of saying in so many words, "Hey, I remember the room system from 4 years ago. It doesn't seem like much has changed. What's going on?" And as you mentioned earlier, Kimmy, Chris Roberts, of all people, boom, responded to it in a fairly detailed response. And the title of it, if you guys want to look it up, I'll put it in chat, but it's called Atmospheric Room Systems 4 Years Later. I'll read to you what Kamaral said, and then I'm going to try his best to read Chris's response. It's a little lengthy, but we're going to read it because I want to show you the video from 2016 where this subject came up. It says, "I was sure CIG showed us a video about the room system a long time ago, and I found it. It's in Star Citizen Around the Verse 3.13. That was the LA office, and it was in November of 2016. I was wondering where we are almost 4 years later. Tested a few things, and I made a video. I got a few comments. The red has air in the shield. Well, only a few ships have air shields, for example, like the Prowler. Air shields also have a visual effect. I'm not aware the Cutlass Red has an air shield, but it doesn't matter. I just did the same thing with an Aurora MR. You get out the pilot's seat, remove your helmet, open the door, you're perfectly fine. I go outside and I hear that I'm dying. I get no oxygen sound, and then I come back inside and I'm fine again. So that was the basis of his post. Now, for you guys who may not remember, just put it in plain words, you guys will get it. What he's basically saying is that we're not noticing oxygen or gas changes when we're moving from places that should be in a vacuum. So, for example, if you're in a Cutlass, if you open the back ramp, the air is still inside with you. You don't choke. You would think that all the air would get sucked out. That does not happen. Of course, once you get down the ramp and you get to a certain point, you do start hearing the sound of you suffocating. So he's just saying, they talked about this 4 years ago, this room system thing, and basically what's happened with it, right? That's basically it, Kimmy, right? In so many words. Okay. Yes. All right.
Essentially saying it was broken.
Right, exactly. So what I want to do is I want you guys to see the video that was put out in 2016. It's very short, but it's the first time we were introduced to it. Okay, so take a quick look at this.
Hi, my name is Chad McKinney, and I'm a gameplay programmer here in the Los Angeles studio. I'm going to be talking about interaction linking and the room system. So this level demonstrates the room system and atmosphere containers. The room system and atmosphere containers are used to create boundaries for our space stations and ships and places in the game where we want there to be pressurization of different gas levels. It's something that we've to date faked in the game with the airlocks, and if you go into an airlock without a spacesuit, you'll die. But the system in place that does that isn't very general, and it doesn't allow for emergent gameplay. What we're working on now is a system that is a more proper way to handle pressurization and depressurization in the game. And it's still pretty early days for this. As you can see, this test level just has some basic boxes and shapes that define the room volumes. And we have some test assets in here just to play around with it. The spheres that are inside these volumes represent the atmospheric composition. So here the blue spheres are oxygen, and the red spheres indicate that that room has been filled with carbon dioxide. The room system uses three main types of entities. One is the atmosphere container, which is the thing that has the atmospheric composition. So for instance, if I come over here and look at this debug output, I can see that the composition in this particular room is 0.8% oxygen and 0.12% carbon dioxide. But if I walk into space, I have nothing. There's no atmosphere here. So the atmosphere container is a very important part. The next one is the room. The room indicates the volume and the boundaries for the atmosphere that's connected to it. Later on, this will also be used to indicate security and power connectivity. But for now, we're just working with atmosphere. So that's atmosphere containers, rooms, and then the third important type is the room connector. So here, there's the yellow box around this door. This yellow box indicates that there's a connection between this room here and outer space. Now, the room system uses these room connectors to try to create pressure equalization between different areas. Between the two spaces that the room connector connects. In this instance, the room connector is connecting a room to outer space. So if I open this door, the oxygen levels in the room are going to drop. If I walk into the room, we can get some debug output to see that, yes, the pressure in the room is dropping rather quickly. And the pressure in the adjacent rooms is also dropping, although less quickly because it has to traverse through the room connectors. Now, having a system like this is really nice because it allows for more emergent gameplay. I could, for instance, close this door and close this door off and keep the pressure, or keep the depressurization localized to a certain space. Or I could reopen the door and allow for the oxygen levels in the other room to fill up this space so that the people on this side of the space station don't die. As you can tell, the room system is still pretty early days. We just now hooked it up to audio, and we plan on hooking it up to the player behavior and visuals soon. But for now, we're still developing it, and I look forward to having this into Star Citizen, which I think is going to allow for some rather interesting gameplay. So by now, you guys have started to see the new interaction system start to come into 2.5, as well as the new content that we've been putting out, for instance, in the demos at Gamescom and CitizenCon. The new inner thought system gives contextual information for objects and items in the game that you're interacting with. One useful tool that we use with those interactions are something called interaction links. Interaction links allows the designers to create relationships between items so that you can build up more interesting behavior from smaller and more modular pieces.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there because I forgot they're going to go into the interaction stuff, and it's not really, it's kind of connected, but not really connected. So again, Kimmy, and correct me if I'm wrong, I remember one of the examples, I can't remember who it was who gave this example. What they said was kind of picture that everything in Star Citizen is a room inside of a room inside of a room inside of a room. So when you're inside of a ship, or when you're, like, let's say, for example, you were to put a yellow jacket inside of a freelancer, that's one room. Then there's the freelancer, which is another room. Then there is the space that the atmosphere that the freelancer's in, which is another room. And so is Daymar a room. And so there's this constant building. And each one of those areas is affected for atmosphere in particular, or gravity, or whatever the case may be. Is that a kind of a short synopsis of it? It's so many words.
You broke it down, Griff. It's still, in essence, object containers.
Right.
These are still
exactly.
object containers.
That's the official term, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so let me read the letter, and you guys will kind of get an idea of what came up. And this is really amazing. It's been both, for some people, exciting, and for some people, kind of controversial. And when I tell you what one of the controversy is, Kimmy, I'm sure you're going to fall out when I tell you. Here's what Chris Roberts said today. This was at 4:07 a.m. when he posted this. The room system has been in the game for quite a while and fully works, including equalization of gases, atmosphere, between room volumes, including dissipation into the global room, aka open space or vacuum. When you suffocate for lack of oxygen, that is because you are in a quote-unquote room with not enough oxygen. The room system is basically how the game describes volumes of gas, their pressure, density, and temperature. So the planet has a room, its atmosphere. A ship has rooms, various compartments between bulkheads. Even the coil in the Squadron 42 has its volume described by a room. We use it for the player status system, breathing oxygen. For atmospheric flight, the room system contains all the information in terms of density, composition of the atmosphere, in terms of gases that the flight model uses to calculate drag and lift. Weather, some of the current weather ground effects are partly influenced by the room's temperature, density, and even composition of gases in the atmosphere. And contrails, in atmosphere and in space, gas clouds, and atmospheric entry effects of the ships. So the room system is very important for a lot of systems and has been in Star Citizen for years. Now, that's the thing that freaked people out, Kimmy, because people kept assuming that the room system was limited to certain things, and because they hadn't seen those things, something as simple as, opening a door on your ship and all the oxygen going out, they figured that the room system wasn't implemented. Chris Roberts says, broken. Yeah, exactly. Chris Roberts says it's all around us. We've been using it already. It's already been implemented in the game. Maybe not every aspect of it, but they've already started using it. Yeah. So this is what he says. What Mike Gibson of CIG was saying, and may have been lost in translation as you don't know our internal terms, is that some of the rooms have two states, mutable and immutable. Mutable means that the room has a finite amount of density, pressure, gases, which can pass to another room if it is connected to it, and there is a difference in pressure. So, if you open a door to space from your Aurora, if the internal room is set to mutable, and the atmosphere inside will be, then the atmosphere inside will escape outside. Immutable, make sure I'm reading all this right. Immutable means that the room has what is considered an infinite amount of gas and its pressure won't change. Planet atmospheres are immutable rooms, as is the vacuum of space. When we set up rooms on vehicles, we didn't have the life support component and its related vents implemented yet, so we had no way to supply more oxygen to the room that had been lost. so that designers set the ship rooms to immutable, infinite supply of oxygen, basically, as a temporary measure, because otherwise, if you opened your door in space, you would lose your internal breathable atmosphere and suffocate if you don't have a spacesuit on. All ships have rooms, and in fact, why people occasionally suffocate on a ship in some places is because the room volume hasn't been set up correctly, and there is some part of the ship without a room, or without a room, and without a room, there is no atmosphere, and the game treats everything outside a room as a vacuum. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody, because it makes sense to us. Kimmy, is there anything you want to say about that before I jump into the example he gives?
Yeah, and I'll make it real quick. I'm going to expand it out too, Griff. If you go back to the early days when they were doing the FPS for the first time, and Chris mentioned, and this is how they've set this tech across the entire universe, and how it transforms but has the same effect. In the demo, Chris mentioned you don't have to really fight, or you can do other things to mitigate the fight. Like, for example, you can actually go to a panel and take out a gravity generator. And guess what? It becomes mutable. It affects the entire area, because now you're floating, right? So it's not just to gases, but then they also mentioned you can use it in strategy. You can have a schematic and an outline of the area, and you know where certain things are hooked up. You can use the panel and basically hotwire some things and pump chemicals into a room as opposed to oxygen, and knock everyone out. So yeah, it lets you know how complex this system is going to be. But I didn't want to just keep it on chemicals, because it's deeper than that. But fire is the most recent thing that they're going to introduce to this tech overall, these containers. So stay tuned.
Good point. Okay, so Chris goes on. He says, we have the initial implementation of life support components and their connected vents working internally, but rolling it out for the ships will take a while, as we need to literally plumb the ships with a set of extra components. Not just the life support component, but all its vents. Now, I will say this. I noticed that in the Carrack, when you go in the engineering area, and I think the 890 is like this too, they actually have a life support. Well, the 890 has a module in there. The Carrack doesn't. It's just an empty space. So they've already been setting up for this whole life support thing. But the fact that he says they actually put vents into the ship, that's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah. That's
awesome. We have a few other systematic ship features, more interactive cockpits, DCS style, we've been working on, as well as the dynamic fire system, you just mentioned that, which also uses and affects the room atmosphere, and an update to the pipe system, that shares resources like power, heat, fuel, atmosphere between components, that will be more flexible and scalable. So it's really a matter of scheduling when we do passes on our huge number of ships to set them up for the new systems that are waiting, and the ones to be ready soon. As everyone always has more work than time, it's going to be more efficient to update multiple things once we crack open a ship to update it. Hence, some of the functionality has been waiting in the wings, hasn't rolled out just yet. Okay. So, as you mentioned, Kimmy, this has already been implemented in many aspects of the game. It's just not everywhere. And obviously, the most obvious place that people would look for it is when it comes to breathing, right? If you're in space, that's the biggest fear that you have, is that you can't breathe. And so we can understand why people would raise that as a point of question. So this is the cool part that Chris gives an example for, to talk about, as you mentioned, how comprehensive this is. There is a lot of very cool systematic gameplay that we've been working on to finish off in the background for ships that, once they're all together, will create a spaceship simulation like no other. Let me give you an example that factors in our new physical damage that we're working on as I type. This is one of the things that I'm pretty involved in. That's fire, room, pipe, and the player status system. So here's the example, gang. Check it out. A ballistic round passes through the ship's shield, which scrubs off some of its kinetic energy, but it's not enough as the round's velocity was high, as was its mass, as was its armor-piercing round. It manages to penetrate the armor and strikes an internal component, say a power relay node, something else we're working on as part of the pipe system. The power node takes damage, giving it a chance to misfire while in use. A few minutes later, the node does misfire, blowing its fuse and resulting in catching fire. The crew of the ship doesn't realize that the fire has broken out in one of the side corridors, as they're busily concentrating on fighting the ships attacking them. The fire starts to spread along the flammable surfaces, and as the fire starts to engulf other components, they also catch fire. The engineer on the bridge of the ship sees the console flash red, giving him a warning that several components have failed, and looking at his ship's schematic, he sees a fire has broken out below decks. The engineer decides to seal the bulkhead doors on the corridor to contain the fire, but the doors have no power as the power node is out. He comms to one of his crewmates to leave the turret and grab an extinguisher and put out the blaze, which is slowly creeping towards the power plant room. Fire reaching the ship's power plant or its ammo stores are two sure ways for your ship to go boom. With the physical damage system, ships will no longer just explode when their hit points reach zero. They'll explode because something inside of them went critical and exploded due to damage or heat, which then damages everything else. Outside of that damage will affect the ability of the ship to function or its structural integrity, so they also become a lifeless hulk as much as they could go up in a flash of light. When the crew member gets to the corridor, when the crew member gets to the corridor where the fire has broken out, let me reread that again, sorry guys. When the crew member gets to the corridor where the fire has broken out, it has already consumed a huge amount of oxygen in the room, the corridor, and has released noxious gases so that the crew member can't breathe and quickly retreats to put on a fire-resistant suit and helmet. The engineer, in desperation, manages to reroute power away from the destroyed node through a secondary node, restoring power to enough of the bulkhead doors to allow them to contain the fire. Noticing that there is an external airlock in the sealed-off area, he opens the airlock, venting the oxygen in the sealed-off corridors and rooms to the vacuum of space, depriving the fire of any ability to burn, putting out most of it. By this time, the crew member is suitably dressed and can extinguish the fire that made it past the bulkhead door before it can grow again. The engineer then reseals the airlock and allows the life support system to replenish the air in the vented part of the ship. Once done, the engineer opens the bulkhead door, allowing the crew member in with a replacement fuse for the power node, restoring power to that section of the ship, then returns to his turret. It's been a close call, but the ship is still alive in the fight. Let me finish reading this last part and then we'll talk about it. What I describe will be possible once we have finished and deployed the systems we're working on. I know it can be frustrating to wait for all this functionality to be online, but I promise you everyone is working as hard and as smartly as possible to get there. We are just going for a higher level of systematic gameplay versus scripted than most, if not all, games. And to architect all of this so it works in multiplayer at scale is no small feat. I am very invested in making Star Citizen's gameplay as systematic as possible, as I think this will open up many possibilities of emergent and immersive gameplay. The downside of this approach is that it takes longer to see the results as opposed to scripting actions as you have to build the fundamental systems first and have them interact with each other before the full extent of the gameplay becomes apparent. But for the long term, and for people's ability to lose themselves in the universe of Star Citizen for many years to come, it is the approach that will have the best results. A lot to read. Sorry about that, gang. Hopefully I didn't have to read it twice to some of you people. But
you're good,
yeah,
Griff.
That's the scoop. All right, Kimmy, any thoughts on Chris? I mean, for him to put out this much detail.
First off, everybody, I think Chris is now breaking news here. Chris Roberts is aiding and abetting piracy. Because when you look at it, he's basically saying now, when you're talking about being able to target certain components and you attack and you have the skill to attack these certain opponents, you pretty much are setting up the ship to be dead in the water. And if you're a smart pirate, it's not about grieving and getting a kill and moving on and getting a kill. That's childish. We're talking about being a true pirate. stealing the cargo, but yet at the same time being mindful of not getting a high jail sentence because you've murdered someone. So those components there are setting it all up for this systemic gameplay, which is and I'm newsflash, this is just my opinion though, we're gonna see another refactor of this flight mode or flight model, so that then we're able to get up close to these ships. We're able to scan for these components and start to interact with them, so that we can start to create these failures internally. But with that post this morning, I intentionally threw a monkey wrench into the process with them talking about the damage and the fire. And it goes back to this old statement I threw out there to them. I said, where's there smoke? There's fire. You got to have smoke before you create that fire. It doesn't, sometimes it'll instantly combust. But yeah, if you're in oxygen rich environments, you want to have that smoke. And they've been working on cloud tech. So I'm loving how all these layers are coming together to really translate into a holistic approach of how we're going to get into this game and respect how we do things, how we interact with each other, with a mind and sense of always keeping your head on the swivel, always expect the unexpected and come prepared. So I love this about what Chris is doing. And at the same time, it lets you know, gang, you know, this is going to take time, but it's well worth it, because when you look at this kind of gameplay, we are getting into some really deep
Very good point. Agent Tech, thank you for the follow. We appreciate that.
Oh, man. 07 to you.
And Dingleberries, you just hit on an excellent point, which we've talked about before on the show, or maybe it was on Sunday's show. I don't know, one of these shows. But you say that it sounds like the beginnings of the engineering profession. Very great observation. I love the fact that in Chris's story, in Chris's story, he even says that there's an engineer sitting at his panel in the cockpit. So you know how we have these different stations, Kimmy, in the ships that maybe aren't functioning right now, like the Freelancer's got those 2 panels, 2 seats behind it. Several ships are like that. Now we're starting to see where not only is there a pilot seat and a co-pilot seat, but now there's an engineering station. Mr. Scott, right? Got you all of your lights
extinguisher.
There you go. It's got the lights. It says the red light goes off, lets him know that some systems are failing. And it's interesting. He actually tells, it doesn't say that the captain tells the engineer and the engineer goes and fixes it. It says the engineer actually tells somebody else on the ship. And this lends itself to a conversation you and I had before, when we talked about what does it mean to crew a ship? Because a lot of times people will say, let's say the Carrack, right? Somebody will say, well, I need 5 people to run a Carrack. Right? That's what people are going to say. I can run 5 people.
Minimum, right?
Right. But here's the deal. You're out with that great character that cost you all this money. You get attacked, right? You've got a guy in your top turret. You got 2 guys in your left and right turret, right? You know, and you've got your pilot, and you got 1 more in the other turret. I think there's a turret on the bottom, right? So you've got like 5, everybody's in their spot, right? But what happens when this scenario happens? And look at what he said had to happen. He had to pull a gunner off in order to go fix that problem. And if it's not a 30-second problem, now you've lost maybe your port or starboard gunner, maybe your gunner that's up top of the ship. So now when you start thinking about what does it mean to man a ship when you go on a trip, maybe it means that you end up paying 1 or 2 people, or maybe that's where you use your NPCs on the guns. You keep your human players available that can make those responsive reactions. Because I love the fact that that guy first gets there, tries to fix it, but can't because he's overcome by the smoke and the gases. And now he's got to go put on a fire retardant suit and come back. I don't see an NPC doing that, unless maybe I'm wrong. I can see the NPCs handling guns, but to know to make those type of decisions instantaneously and spontaneously, I think you're going to really have to think about what does it mean to crew a ship when you go out.
And to what you said, Griff, I'm going to keep it real simple here. Star Trek, red shirts on ship.
Hey, engineers,
people can die. People can die. You're going to have to fill in.
I agree. Yeah. You might have to pull somebody from security that's got to go and change a fuse. That's a very good point. No, that's a very good point. Dude, that's a very good point. You may be a grunt, right? But hey, dude, I need you to go get that fire extinguisher and put that fire out. You know,
shake the green off.
That's a very good point.
I need those thrusters right damn now. You go Kirk out on them. I need those thrusters right now, Ensign.
That is an awesome point. Well, listen, we've got one of our good friends here, Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral, how you doing,
Admiral.
buddy?
Evening, guys. How's it going?
Hey, Admiral.
We're here, man. Talk to us. What's on your mind?
Yeah,
Well, you guys were I was just thinking about the whole, man a character with an NPC crew. And in listening to not only you, but Chris Roberts, I don't see that's going to happen.
I keep telling people that. People keep talking about they're going to hire all these NPCs and they're going to be doing. I'm like, NPCs.
What you pay for.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe they're going to make the AI on them pretty good. I'll give you an example. A while back, Tony Zervik talked about when they were testing them in gun turrets. And they said they can make the AI in gun turrets at 100%. They don't miss. So when it comes to operating a turret, yeah, I get it. But when it comes to those decision-making things where you have to maybe, you have to change the game plan or become creative in how you respond to something.
Exactly.
I'm wondering. You know what I mean, man? I'm just kind of wondering.
Yeah. But Todd Pappy mentioned something that kind of, I wouldn't say contradict that, but he kind of further reiterated because he's the live director, and he basically said, if you have an encounter with elites or NPCs, they have not 100%, but a high mid to 90% percentile of accuracy.
Thank you for the raid. We got that raid. Thank you, Heavy Bob. Thank you, guys. Welcome to the channel. Go ahead, Kim. This is Kimmy talking. This is Kimmy
what
sharing.
Admiral said, right? You make a good point, Admiral, because in the sense of making sure that if you're in a carrot, and it's to what Griff said, if you're in a carrot, and this is the baby of everybody, right? Pretty much, this is the love child of everyone, and you're not going to put the responsibility of that type of ship to the NPCs unless you have some serious financial shortcomings, right? You're going to do what you have to do. But outside of that, I mean, you're going to have live crews working it. You're going to have that communication, because you get the wrong NPC, they're like, man, you didn't give me lunch. I don't feel like doing this crap. And I'm look, meanwhile you're in a battle, or they're not as experienced or smart because you basically looked at your bottom line.
Right.
And said, well, I'm going to, not get the highest or the elite of the NPCs, or they may not be available.
Shady Face.
Yeah, you got a good point there.
Shady Face says the NPCs will be good, but the best ones will cost you major UEC, and they will never be as good as players. So Kimmy, to your point, Shady Face is saying basically the same thing. Yeah. For those of you who don't remember this or don't know this, when you do get NPCs, they will have different levels or grades of experience, basically. Yes. So let's just say, for example, it's a 5-star system. A 1-star, 2-star may be a rookie, somebody who's just getting started. A 4-star, 5-star will be much more experienced NPC, but of course will cost you more money to pay whatever it is you're going to be doing. So, Admiral, was there something else you were thinking about in relation to all this?
Well, not just that. You have to, like Kimmy was saying, you could buy, hire the best NPC player, but if you don't feed them, and supposedly their abilities come down, and then you get like some guy who doesn't care and just wants to get off the next stop.
Yeah.
So, but that's about it.
Mutiny, huh?
But Tony made a good point. I remember he did say that you could luck up, and let's say you get a novice crew member, and all of a sudden they really accelerate, and you're like, wow, I just found a diamond in the rough, right? And he's not expensive. But what they did not say is this, kind of like with the minerals that he said, you find a gold vein and there's a finite amount. So I would say, even though there's 90% of NPCs to our 10%, and because of the demand on this, and knowing Tony Z, he's the architect of mayhem. He's going to make the high level NPCs more than likely a limited quantity. So you're going to have to work with
they'll be in demand.
You can get.
Yeah, and I think someone mentioned in chat even that the NPCs are supposed to get better as time goes, just like players get better as time goes. So you're absolutely right. Like anything else, right? There will be fewer of those people probably in the universe, and a lot more rookies, right? than anything else in the universe.
I just want to hit up. Ops Chief is saying that our NPCs still plan to live their own lives, and I think that brings up the mining video that you guys were talking about with the family there out there with the rock and the Cutlass Black,
and the homesteads as well, Admiral.
Right.
Yeah, Heavy Bob, in response to that, yeah, maybe I said that the wrong way. I was just using it as an example. Yeah, there aren't going to be levels per se, but there will be experience and reputation. And so reputation will basically be like, you know, when, for example, if you do cargo missions and you do them well and you deliver on time, I'll use an example because I remember they use this as an example. Let's say it's the Genesis Starliner and you're picking up a lot of transport missions and your goal is to get people to a certain destination safely and on time. Every time you do that, your reputation will increase and get better. And so for a lot of people, that's going to be a factor. You know, whatever it is you do in the game, it will be in some way or other monitored when you do these missions as a way of when someone looks at you and they can determine. Now, let's say, for example, if Kimmy happens to be the pirate guy out there who's always harassing people and I put out a beacon and I want to be picked up, I'll be able to look at his profile. And if he's got a 2 out of 5 stars, think of it like Uber, right? You know, it's like, nah, I don't know if I want to get picked up by that guy. You know, that's going to be kind of how that system works. We don't know exactly, but we do know the reputation
system.
Yep. Reputation is going to be there. Absolutely. So that was good stuff. I'm pretty hyped about it. It's good to hear from Chris. Now, let me tell you what the controversy was, Admiral and Kimmy. There was some people who said that that letter was not written by Chris. Now, they're saying that because, of course, you know, there was some rumblings about, where's Chris? We haven't seen Chris in a while. We haven't heard from Chris. And there are some doubters out there who say that might have been just somebody at CIG just kind of covering to kind of keep that that little smoke down. What do you guys think? Do you think that that was Chris Roberts writing that letter, or do you think it was somebody else who was astute enough to fill in for him?
I mean, I'm looking at his post right now. And, his overview for his citizen dossier looks like him, but he needs a new picture. He's smiling too.
Admiral, you're terrible, man. Stop.
Well, Dingleberry says something. He says it was detailed the way Chris writes, and that is true. Chris does like go into extreme detail. That is kind of a telltale to that it was him. Then again, you know, people know that that's him, so someone may have decided to say, well, you got to add more to it. That doesn't sound like what Chris would write, you know. So I don't know. All I know is it's a positive update. Some of the things that they told us is that they're working on some of those things right now. It's going to take time, but hey, it's something for us to look forward to. So we'll see what happens.
You know what I would love is next week for them to have like 10 for the chairman.
Ooh. They're really going back in the day, Admiral.
Just out of the blue. Just out of the blue, do 10 for the chairman. And like, hey, let's talk about stuff.
That would be very cool.
I think we need right now.
That would be very cool. And it would settle down a lot of the rumors, right? I know for a fact that it would. It would be good to see Chris too, because we haven't had a pillar talk in a while. And so those are always very refreshing. I always had hoped that they would do at least one per quarter. That way we kind of get to hear from those big branches, like Kimmy says, when we get to hear from people like Tony Zervik and some of the other guys, it kind of reinforces where things are. Don't get me wrong, we love the devs. The devs are down there doing the grunt work and the groundwork, and we love them just as much. But the other guys kind of give us the bigger picture of everything, and it's always encouraging to hear from them. So yeah, good stuff. Again, welcome everybody to Friday Night Live. Admiral Kusanagi is in with Kimmy and I, but you guys can join us if you'd like. There's a link that pops up in the chat. This is an interactive talk show, so you don't have to just listen to me and Kimmy talk. Actually, we don't want to be the ones to talk. We want to hear what you guys have to say. So all you got to do is click on that link and pop in our Discord. We'll put you in the queue. We'll put you in the green room, and then you can join Admiral Kusanagi, and we will talk a little bit more. Let's jump into the next thing now, and this is going to be the ship showdown. We talked about this a little bit. It started this week.
Today it was live.
For those of you who have got your web pages nearby, if you want to go to the RSI site and bring up the ship showdown, what they did was basically go down the tree and the devs kind of decided to pick who they thought would win versus who they personally would want to win. So there's going to be 2 answers they're going to give. I'm going to stop it during the show from time to time. And Admiral, if you're still in here, if you want to participate, I'm going to get your 2 cents on it. We're going to give our votes also as to which ships we think should win. Now, last year, the Carrack was in there. The Caterpillar won out of all the ships. But there were 4 ships at the top. It was the Cutlass, the Caterpillar, the Caterpillar, the Reclaimer, and who remembers what the last one was? I thought there were 4 of those ships that got that weird paint job. Remember? They all got that paint job. I can't remember now. If anybody in chat remembers what that 4th ship was, at least I thought there were 4 ships. The Hammerhead. Thank you, Is it Zorcist? Exorcist? Oh, Exorcist. Yeah. Interesting way to spell that. Exorcist. Okay. Thank you. It was the Hammerhead.
Oh,
yeah,
snap.
I know.
I
know. I'm so used to looking at xenophobe and everything else. I had to think for a second. I love it. Okay, Exorcist. That's a great way to spell it.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So let's look at today's show. We're going to stop it from time to time because we're going to put our votes in, and then we're going to kind of roll and see what everybody else thinks. And you guys can put your votes in too in chat.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first, last, probably the only episode of Ship Showdown Live. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and if you've never seen Ship Showdown Live before, it's because we've never done one of these before. What we're doing on the show this week is we have gathered a panel of esteemed developer colleagues from around Cloud Imperium Games development, and we are going to be discussing the talk of the town right now, the Ship Showdown contest that is going on right now on the robertspaceindustries.com website. For the last 2 weeks, backers have been able to submit their own entries into the Ship Showdown contest. These were pictures, these were videos. There was a couple songs and jingles I saw. Basically, the community got to present their
Not everybody, Heavy Bob.
Which ships they think are the best in Star Citizen, and then that has been wheedled down to a Sweet 16. Voting is going on right now. Our panel is going to discuss their picks for the Sweet 16 this week, and then who they think should win and who they think will win. And they'll be playing for prizes awarded at the end of the show. So let's go ahead and meet our distinguished panel of people from the different departments of Star Citizen here. Not everybody, but we got 4 departments here. We're going to just start from the...
Yeah, I think Elwin is Hispanic. Elwin's Hispanic, I think, Heavy Bob.
Yogi, who are you? What team are you playing for, and what do you do for Star Citizen?
So my name is Yogi. I'm part of the vehicle experience team. And
Yogi Clan.
Yeah, I'm a programmer. Yes.
You're a programmer? And what does the vehicle experience team do?
We're improving existing aspects of the experience of the flight and combat aspects of the game.
All right. So next, we've got Will Weisbaum from the narrative team. Will, who are you? What do you do?
His name has to be in game.
Hi, I'm Will Weisbaum from the narrative team, as Jared just said. Took the whole mystery out of it, Jared. I'm a lead writer here at Star Citizen, and when it comes to ships, the narrative team is involved, well, a lot of times in naming the ships and also in kind of sometimes helping to define its place in the universe and how it's going to be used in the day-to-day lives of the citizens. And also it's kind of fun. We look at the ships during reviews and see, like, try to envision ourselves inside this space and contribute that way of what the, the experience will be of the ship coming from a narrative perspective.
So basically you just make ship up.
Yeah, that's
Elwin Bachelor Jr.
All right. Next, Elwin, tell us who you are and what you do.
What up, homies? I'm Elwin. I'm the Associate Vehicle Art Director representing the Vehicle Content team. And what we do is we essentially build the vehicles that you guys all love. Part of our team hooks everything up so that you can fly these things. And then the last part of our team sets it up so that you can shoot each other out of the sky.
in the greatest ship contest.
And last but
and it
certainly
required
not least,
3 people. It was a one-man show that did it by himself.
Tyler,
and he was one of the finalists. He didn't win.
Hi, everybody. Tyler, or Xylo. I manage the community team, and our main focus is acting as a metaphorical punching bag. Wait, sorry, wrong notes. Hold on. Yeah, we provide any comlinks messaging, such as monthly reports, Q&As, AMAs, infographics, created things like the Welcome Hub, the guide system, feedback, sentiment tracking, roadmap for roadmaps, you name it. We're here to support the community and the development team as well.
All right.
And
since you represent the community team, one of the aspects of this competition is predicting what the community will vote on. Man, if you don't win that part, what happens?
I intentionally brought like a bunch of swag just in case I have to resort to bribery, because if I don't win, then yeah, I'm not doing a good job.
All right. So basically, we spent. So how this contest worked is that we took submissions from the community for about 2 weeks, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong here. People submitted all kinds of stuff. What did they submit?
Everything that you could possibly imagine: songs, Legos, Play-Doh. A lot of 3D models this year, more 3D printed models than last year, which is cool because I think just the technology behind it is advancing and more people it's becoming more accessible. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, everything across the board. Beautiful stuff. Oh, look at that. Is that B-roll or is that yours? Those are yours.
Those are mine. You mentioned them. So
I'm jealous.
Look at that.
I'm jealous of the freelancer. I saw you tweet that out.
Yeah. So people submitted their own options or entries for the Ship Showdown, and then somehow those were called down to a Sweet 16. How were those chosen?
A number of things. So when we were calling down to the top 16, we looked at really the biggest metric was noise, right? Noise. And that comes down to number of upvotes, number of likes, both on social media and the community hub. But we also took into consideration number of posts. So for example, the 890 jump got in on sheer number of submissions, while none of them were as high as some of the top contenders if you sort by top. But there was something like 60 or 70 890 jump submissions, and so we counted those. It's one of the reasons, I don't know if Red Lear's watching, but Gary in the Argo almost made it in, but there was just not enough posts, and when we actually mapped it all out. And then, of course, also quality of submission mattered as well. So we had a pretty big panel of judges, and we voted. And so if something was just absolutely stellar, somebody went above and beyond, like the Drake Cutlass Black song. That gentleman almost secured the Cutlass Black on his own, but, you know.
Yeah, it's safe to say the Cutlass has a wonderful constituency behind it, and I think it could. My personal opinion, I think it's going to be the dark horse contender this year, but we will get into that momentarily. So right now on the website, you can visit robertspaceindustries.com and vote in the official Ship Showdown contest. That is currently on day 3. We are doing our own little microcosm version of the voting today during this show. So if you're watching live on Twitch, there will be 8 votes throughout the course of the show, and you'll be able to vote by entering either a number 1 or a number 2 into the chat. And that's how we're going to determine the winner between our panel here. So as we're discussing each day, you may not want to vote immediately.
Heavy Bob, I'm going to try and skip past parts
what they have to say,
because we're not going to do the whole 1 hour show, so just kind of bear with. I know some of you guys saw it already.
Maybe they can sway your vote. Maybe they won't. Who knows? You know, can anything beat the Carrick? Let's. We're going to find out right there. So let's go ahead and get started with our very first Ship Showdown of the show here. We will start the voting here. Let me turn this on. We have got the Carrick versus the Reclaimer, and voting is now live in the chat. Yogi.
Okay, so Carrick versus Reclaimer. Admiral, since you're the guest, which one would you go for, Carrick or Reclaimer?
I'd go for the Carrick, definitely. Reclaimer's cool and all, but I love the Carrick. I have it.
Nice.
Okay, Kimmy, how about you?
It's about multi-role in the verse, and having all the use of materials, vehicles, as much you can have at one instance, and the Carrick provides that. Reclaimer is that one-trick pony, so I'm sorry. It's out. Carrick is in.
Yeah, I think the Carrick has become the go-to ship for multiplayer right now, just because of the fact of the way it's designed. Even though there are other multi-crew ships in the game, but folks just kind of seem to love that ship because it has a living-in feel, I think, more than anything. The Carrick, though, on the other hand, not the Carrick, the Reclaimer. I love the Reclaimer. But to Kimmy's point, it is definitely specialized. It's industrial versus space, in the sense of science and discovery for the Carrick. So I think, according to the masses, definitely are going to push the Carrick up to the top. It wasn't in it last year, so this year it's definitely a candidate for winning. because it is like the mother of all of multi-crew ships right now, and I think it's going to probably dust out the competition. There may be something else that might come out of nowhere, but I think that's going to be a factor. So yeah, let's see what happens here. I'm only going to play through their initial ones, and then I'm going to jump to the next ship.
We're going to start with you in the first position here. What should win, Carrick or the Reclaimer?
So I think the Reclaimer should win. It's a big, bulky ship, and it has this industrial used vibe around it. And I was especially like taking not a part, but like, I love the kitchen area, like the recreational area in there. You can just sit down and have a drink with your friends. So it just feels very alive, and this is why I think the Reclaimer should win.
Really, right out the gate, you win against the Carrick. Bold man. Bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off. Will, Carrick or the Reclaimer, who should win?
I'm really excited that we're doing a fantasy ship showdown league here. I have to say the Carrick. As much as I love the Reclaimer and the impact it has when you approach it on a landing pad and like just see it looming over you, which is like kind of an experience that I think is a bit unique to Star Citizen. The Carrick, for me, embodies a bit of my dream of the Star Citizen experience. It's about getting out there and exploring. It has a little bit of everything in a really nice way. So it kind of has that mission flexibility that I look for in a ship, and it's real pretty.
Okay. Elwin.
So I agree with the things that Yogi likes about the Reclaimer, and I think that from an artistic standpoint, I definitely like the Reclaimer better. It has some very beautiful interiors, and I like sort of the mineral processing section on the inside. But at the end of the day, from a gameplay standpoint, I just think the Carrick is Star Citizen, right? It gives you the ability to play so many different parts of the game in different ways. And one of my favorite parts of playing the game has been just trying to various small ships inside of the hangar and the Carrick without crashing it, and that's like super fun. So just from that standpoint, I've had a lot of fun with the Carrick, so I got to go with the Carrick.
All right, Tyler, is it going to be a tie or is it going to be a win?
Let me say that I still hear Gib Carrick in my dreams. With the amount of Gibbs that happened in the Gibboning, the Carrick earned it. It's got to be the Carrick.
That became a meme.
Absolutely.
Right. So we have Yogi is the only standout, sticking to his guns or his salvaging beams, as the case may be, voting for the Reclaimer. We asked.
Is your mic out, Griff?
Thank you, Kimmy. I'm zoning out here. Just so you guys will know, the Carrick is in the head on this one. The Reclaimer did not win. The other day, those are the first two ships that came up. So the Carrick is going to be the winner of that particular tier. I'm going to try to speed up a little bit because we're not going to go through all of these because this is an hour-long show. We're going to try to chop it down. So bear with me while I jump the video a little bit here.
While you jump that, I just want to say that the other one, the Reclaimer, is fantastic. Like the ambiance in there is so like Nostromo.
Yes.
Oh
my God.
Aliens.
It's
Yes.
great. It's
absolutely.
But I could see an NPC with something bursting out of its chest there, and I'd be like, I'm done. I gotta go. Here's my character.
Yeah, it has that feel, that atmosphere for sure.
Our next, where's my button here? I've got too many things to go on. So we're going to move on to our next battle. The Day 2, the Drake Caterpillar versus the Miss Prospector. So, Will, we're going to start with you.
Oh, jeez.
All right, guys, what you got there? Give it to us. Caterpillar or Prospector, Admiral?
I have a Prospector. I think it's a great little ship. I'm doing the mining thing, but I think the Caterpillar, with its ability to up armor, to have maybe a medical bay, to have the dragonflies in the front, it's just a nice little pocket carrier. So I think that's actually a pretty good ship, and yeah, I'll go with the Caterpillar.
Kimmy?
I definitely Admiral is spot on with that, because when you look at the Prospector when it was first introduced and to where it is now, it was great, and it still is great. But when we're talking about now, with the advent of more multiplayer, more players potentially getting into the game, the Argo mode came up and snatched that crown as far as that gameplay mechanic. And so I would have to give it to the Caterpillar because of the fact that its potential is yet to be realized, and the fact that John Crew said, of those who own a Caterpillar, he said, please hold on to it because we're not done yet. But for the fact that next patch we're getting the cargo space station, and the cat can do some some serious hauling with that cargo hold there. And now the fact that it's going to eventually ramp up to those variants as far as the rooms and stuff, you got to give it to the cat, hands down.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Kimmy. The Caterpillar, the one thing that a lot of folks either don't know or have forgotten is that the Caterpillar has modularity. And they have told us that they've already considered several different types of modules where that ship could be. Even though right now it's 5 containers, you may be able to have a med bay or a repair bay or something else. So the functionality of that ship is much broader than the Prospector, which is, like you said, a great ship, nice single person mining capability, but it doesn't have a refinery in it, so it's definitely limited when it comes to even mining. So yep, definitely got to give this one to the Caterpillar. Even though I hate that Drake is clean. Man, Drake has been like coming out the box with their stuff now. Before, nobody wanted Drake. You know, this was supposed to be the crappy built ships and everything. But man, they're churning stuff out left and right.
I do have a question though. I do have a question. The Prospector, does it have a pillow? I think it has a pillow, does it not?
A pillow?
I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's enough, Admiral. I don't know.
The 100 doesn't have a pillow.
I know,
Ship.
Look, I know, but I don't know if I can't even remember now if it does. That's a good question. Let's keep going.
I want to make a point about Drake, Griff. You said about Drake, and it's made me think of this. Drake, when you talk about the Cutlass series, right? Mm-hmm. It has the best variant set among all of the ships out there, hands down. When you have variations of just all around, all purpose Cutlass Black, you have the bounty hunting, and then you have the medic. You can go with those 3 ships and do some crazy things together across the board. But yeah, the best variant set for manufacturer, hands down.
Good point.
I say Prospector. I think just the mining experience that we have coming on, and like the Prospector, it's kind of that unitasker, but really nicely built for it, of sitting there in an asteroid belt, riding, being a laser jockey, is, I think, just an excellent experience. The Caterpillar is awesome with all its cargo holds, and the expanse of it, and running through that length of that ship is really cool, and seeing it approaching is scary. But kind of getting into that, putting on some music, heading out into the black and mining, I got to give it to the Prospector.
Elwin and his team made the Caterpillar, right? He's right there next to you.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic ship.
Right. And the Caterpillar won last year's Ship Showdown, the inaugural Ship Showdown. The Caterpillar was the surprise, at least it was for me, it was a surprise winner at the end of that. Elwin, what's your pick? Who should win?
Who should win? Okay, so yes, you already let everybody know I actually did work on the Caterpillar, but I actually think the Prospector should win. And the reason for that is because I like big lasers, and this one has a giant one built into the nose. So what can I do? I have no options here. It has to be the thing with the big laser. I also think that the canopy is really, really nice in this ship. One of the best, I think, actually, for the purpose of this ship. And it's also kind of helped us establish some of the interior looks of some later ships. So I think it's a great ship. It's a great little sort of starter mining ship. So I go with the Prospector.
All right. Tyler.
I just want to say that I'm disappointed, because I will first say, yes, I think that the Prospector should win as well. And it looks like, according to Twitch chat, they're voting for that as well. But why didn't you turn out and vote when it mattered most? I'm a fan of mining. Cargo gameplay is great, but I'm a fan of mining. Just like Elwin said, the canopy of the Prospector, I think, provides gorgeous views. Yeah. That's the one for me.
Yogi?
Yeah, I'm also with the Prospector. There's this thing about the ship, like you can stand next to the pilot in the canopy, enjoy the view, and just be really like judgmental about the pilot, telling them, oh yeah, that's not going to work out and so on. And it's great that you can do that on that ship, just standing next to the pilot and enjoying the view. Yeah, it just feels very alive to me. So yeah, I would say the Prospector should win this round.
All right, so all four of you pick the Prospector. The vote in the live chat right now is really close, but it does lean for the Prospector. The vote yesterday that happened on the website, the Caterpillar crushed. So what's the disparity here?
You're muted, Griff.
I'm sorry. We all went for the Caterpillar, so I'm curious as to what the disparity is. I mean, do you think they're just kind of they're trying to throw some love at the Prospector? Because, like, even one of the things he said, where you can stand in the Prospector's cockpit and tell the guy whether that's, and I'm like, nobody takes anybody in a Prospector with him. I mean, for the most part, you know, if a guy's out there mining, they're out there mining on their own. I don't know. I'm kind of getting weird vibes about why everybody seemed to pick the Prospector, because to me, the Caterpillar is it. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, go ahead, Admiral.
No, you can go, Kimmy.
It's like this. Okay, what is the one thing that people complain about when we get the server wipes or we get the 30Ks? What do they mainly complain about?
Loss of money.
Hello, the cat is cash, man. It's the cash cat.
Right. No, I agree.
You can't say that right off the bat with after a wipe. The only thing you can count on is picking up minerals, because you don't have to put cash down on the table.
Time consuming though, Admiral. Time consuming, and then you're filtering the inert materials, the garbage. You're sitting there. Oh my God, it's aluminum. Let me crack this. Okay, I need the agricium. I don't want the aluminum. Then what's the percentages? With the cat, you pile that stuff in, you haul, you come back, you make another run, and then you're sitting there, you're looking at your UEC, and it's like, damn, I'm good.
No, I get that. Once you can get that monetary,
that initial, you got to get the initial investment. Right, that's it. You got to get the initial investment though, right, to fill it up.
Yeah,
because you ain't filling up the cat, it ain't worth it. That's it.
Yeah,
and I know people who have wept. They've had their Caterpillar just landed, and that sucker crashes, and it's gone.
but to your point, Admiral, it's just the fact that because we will eventually get more career types in the game, you're going to have people that's going to say, I don't want to deal with people. I want to stay on the fringes. They're going to be the moth to the light to that Prospector. And then you're going to have those people that say, hey, I need to count UEC. I want to see how much. And they get on Reddit and they get on Discord and they talk about how much they made in those cargo runs and saying, dude, you got to listen. You got to check this out. I made 2 runs and I made yada, yada, yada out of those 2 runs. So it's a little bit of this and that for everybody.
No, I hear you. And I know there's people that have like 2 to 3 or even more Caterpillars, and they have their friends take it, and then they cash in, those 3 or 5 cats at the same time, and they get a boatload of money.
Yeah, I think it's all a matter of, like you said, it's progression. Because a lot of times people, like, for example, some people start out with something as simple as doing the cargo boxes in a Pisces. The next thing you know, they're going to the Prospector. And because I know when I do a Prospector run, my average run is between 75,000 and 100,000. That's my average run in a Prospector. So, but once I get to a certain dollar amount, then to Kimmy's point, I move to something like the Caterpillar where I can fully load it. So I think it just gives room for all of them. But I'm just kind of surprised. I don't know. I mixed feelings on that, but I definitely think the Caterpillar definitely has the edge on that. Let's go ahead and jump to the next ship, which is going to be the Gladius, if I'm not mistaken.
It's like we've already seen in ISC the work on the physicalized dashboard.
Gladius and the Banu Defender.
The weapon rack that we've seen goes in the Gladius. Many of the new flight model changes always start with the Gladius. The hard surface shader conversions start with that. It's definitely a favorite amongst the development team. So it's hard to vote against that. Yogi, who did you pick? Who should win, Gladius or?
just took pretty much everything of that away. What I wanted to say. I mean, there's no discussion. It is the most beautiful ship that we have in the game. It just looks like the prototypic fighter. Yes, it is the most beautiful ship. There's no discussion there. It is really great in space.
Carrick would like to have a word with you.
Fine. But it's also really great in atmosphere because of the wings, right? And it is the test bed for new technology. So I am a little biased there because I spent a lot of time in that cockpit during development, but still I would prefer it for gameplay reasons. So yeah, I'll stay with the Gladius.
It's hard to argue against the gull wings too. Like I'm a sucker for any ship with the gull wings. Will, what was your pick? Who should win?
Gladius all the way. And it was hard for me because I love the Defender too. Like, it's such a cool looking Xeno ship. It has those really sexy curves on the inside, and when we walk in it, it's a unique experience. But the Gladius, for me, that cockpit is, like, as you mentioned, is the test bed. So it's one of our most refined cockpit experiences in the game so far, and when you're sitting in it, just feels really good, and it's always like got the new shinies. So I love going back in when I load up a new patch and checking out what's happened in the Gladius, and so I keep going back to it over and over.
Could the Gladius be a dark horse favorite to take this? Do we think the community likes it enough?
You mean at the very end?
Yeah.
I do not think so. No.
Okay. In the Woodwind, Yogi, who did you pick Woodwind?
Gladius, for the same reasons.
Tyler, who did you pick Woodwind?
Gladius.
Okay. All right, let's stop here. Admiral, what are your feelings? Gladius or Banu Defender?
It's funny because I have the Defender, but I got rid of my Gladius, but I actually will pick the Gladius.
Kimmy?
I'm almost like Admiral there. When you go back to what we were previously talking about, I have a Prospector. I don't have a Caterpillar. But going back, crazy, right? But going forward, I would have went with the Gladius because of the fact that it was the building block. It's the legacy ship, and it tethers us to Squadron 42. That's our link back to the past. While we have Star Citizen, it was one of those foundational ships. So yeah. And it flies well. I've flown it before. It flies like a dime.
It's a beautiful flying ship, and to see like the ailerons eventually move in atmosphere and stuff like that, and the tail, it'll be fantastic. Yeah. But that's why I pick it over the Defender.
Yes.
Weirdly enough, that's probably why it's the oldest ship, if not the oldest ship of the fighters in the game. It's decommissioned per se almost, but it's a light fighter. It's very agile. I still prefer it over the Arrow a little bit, just because it's a little tougher. The Arrow's a great ship, but the Gladius is a little bit tougher. And to Kimmy's point, if you don't have a Gladius, that's great, but you better learn to fly one, because this is the ship you're going to be flying in Squadron 42. So it's a ship to become familiar with, and because of atmospheric flight, it does fly quite well, and the price point is good as far as I'm concerned when it comes into getting into a fighter, just like the Arrow is. So I got rid of mine, but I keep talking myself out of getting it, because I keep saying I'm just going to get it in game instead of buying it. But I'm definitely going to have one, because it's definitely a ship that we need to be paying attention to. Let me go ahead and speed this up a little bit.
In real life, the Gladius speaks to the F-16, today's F-16. It's an older ship, but it's so versatile that it's still being used today. It was introduced in the 70s. So when I see Gladius, I think F-16.
Let me throw this question at you guys. The Banu Defender is a ship that a lot of people love. The alien tech on it, the design, the fact that two players can be inside of it. It's got the special tachyon guns, and it's a cool ship. There's nothing bad about that ship per se. Why do you think people didn't go for that one? Go for the more exotic, two-man fighter versus the single fighter Gladius? Any thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Admiral.
That's kind of a hard one.
Or is it just one of those ships that a lot of people don't have, maybe?
Yeah, I prefer in a fighter to have everything symmetrical, I guess, because you're kind of off center. It's kind of weird. I don't know how to say, and I know right now there's like, I want it to work a little bit better. The guns I think are a longer distance, so I think those need to be fleshed out. And the shields need to be where they're supposed to be. I mean, it's a great little ship. I have it for my BMM. That's why I still have it. So, yeah, go ahead, Kimmy.
I think it's a lack of realized potential, because this was another ship that John Crew mentioned, that when you have the Banu Defender match up with the Banu Merchantman, it's going to do some sort of weird functionality like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where it connects and then all of a sudden it becomes this giant weapon. And so with that said, whether we as a community don't remember that or never heard of it, again, it's not realized potential. It would probably be a different conversation if you had that functionality and there was the Banu Defender, that Banu Merchantman was in the game, and then you see those connections with the Defender, and all of a sudden you're saying, wow, that's a badass ship that can do this extra function. So
right.
It's a lack of realized potential for what it is. It's a paper tiger right now, but throw that functionality in, maybe a year or two from now, it's going to probably be a different conversation right now.
Okay.
Who wins? Who should win? The Eclipse or
Who
the Hammerhead?
should win?
Who should
I
win?
think that the Eclipse should win. I think a lot of people would agree with me that the cockpit is like the coolest opening animation and view. I just love the way it feels when you're sitting in an Eclipse.
All right.
Yeah.
Pick the Eclipse. Yogi, is he right? Who should win?
No, he's not right. I think the Hammerhead should win because it's due to the large amount of turrets. It just has like a lot of like multi-crew potential, and when all of them firing at the same time, it's just grand. It looks fantastic.
How do you argue against those turrets, man? It is just ridiculous. It's not only does it have 6 of them, but 4 of them are hands down the best turrets in the game right now. I don't know how you choose. Tyler, how did you choose against the Hammerhead?
This is who I thought should win.
I know.
I encourage other people. Other people should vote for the Eclipse as well. That'd be great. Thank you. Oh wait, no, actually, oh, never mind. Can't say
Will.
You're doing fine. Carry on.
Who should win? Will?
I Hammerhead, and that was 100% based on that in-game poster of the Hammerhead.
The Jaws,
up.
yes.
I love it. That just sways me.
Yeah. Elwin, what you got?
Yeah, I'm a simple man, so I like big lasers and I like big guns, and the Hammerhead has tons of guns, so I went for the Hammerhead.
Oh no.
Oh, so Tyler, you're odd person out here. You got 3 people being very clear about the Hammerhead. I will say, in the community voting, though, the Eclipse is making a respectable showing. So for the community voting that's going on, I can just say this is a referendum against Tyler.
Okay. Admiral, which one are you going to pick, the Eclipse or the Hammerhead?
Hammerhead's very cool. You can ram ships with it, but I'm big into like stealth ships, like the Asperia and the Saber, which I upgraded from my Gladius. So I'm gonna go with the torpedo boat there.
Oh, okay. Kimmy, how about you?
As beautiful as the Eclipse is, and it's based on that type of gameplay the Admiral talks about, you do this solo mission, and it's specific on what you have to do or accomplish. It's some thrill to that. Love it. I love the design, but I'm more geared to that multiplayer interaction and that visceral experience, such as the Hammerhead. You're getting it goes back to those Star Wars movies or those sci-fi movies, and you're right in the meat of the battle, and it's just like all hell is all around you, and you're just pushing through it, man, and making it happen. And so that experience I crave in that kind of ship, and to do it with squad members, friends. It can't be denied. But I get what Admiral was saying about that solo type of mission. But when you bring in more people, with this type of game, I have to go with the Hammerhead.
I'm not saying I wouldn't use multiple ships. I'm just saying
Mm-hmm.
for that type of gameplay.
Oh no,
like
I'm not striking down your opinion at all, Admiral, because I do like that. I do. That's a different type of gameplay altogether. But if I had to choose, it's not to say it's wrong or anything. It's actually cool gameplay because you have to actually accomplish that, and it's almost like yeah, you can have a squad member of the same ships, but specifically the way it's designed, you go in, you hit that target, you get out, and it's and what it is that there's so many people depend on you succeeding in that mission. There's a different thrill to that at the same time. But if I had to prefer right off the bat, I love that. Hey, go over to starboard. I got a bogey, and you got the interaction in real time. I love that stuff because I see it. I grew up with that, and I see those large scale battles. But I get the thing with the stealth type of of the Eclipse. But I had to choose the Hammerhead. But I love them both, though.
I think I'm kind of leaning toward, weirdly enough, I love the Hammerhead. The times I've been on one, I don't own one, but I've been on it with folk and had a great time in it. The only problem with this particular tier is the multi-crew versus the single fighter ship, single person ship. That kind of throws the balance off for me. Like it's almost like these two ships should not be in the same category. But the thing that I would have to gravitate toward the Eclipse, because Eclipse is one of my favorite ships. And it has to do with the fact that that ship, and you guys have seen this in films before, where you get that soul bomber, like Kimmy mentioned, that's going out in a stealth area or, going deep into some place, hitting it and getting out, trying not to be seen. Then there's also when you see the squadron of bombers of two, groups of 6 or 8 that are flying in formation. And they, like, for example, when you want to take out a cap, yeah, you can have the fighters and stuff all you want, but the first people you're going to send in is a squadron of retaliators and eclipses with size 6s and 10s who are going to pummel that thing like crazy to get the shields down so that the fighters are effective. So, I'm that type of player. The Hammerhead player is great. I love doing a turret, but God knows I love being able to be in a squadron of bombers where we're in formation and somebody's got us flying low to the ground or, on our way to go hit a capital ship. That just pumps me up big time. So the Hammerhead won this one, by the way, just so you'll know. But the Eclipse was right behind it. It wasn't a huge gap for this one. 20 pounds of hummus. Thank you for that follow and that name.
20 pounds.
And that name. Okay, let's look at the next ship that we've got up. And this one's the Constellation versus the Cutlass, if I'm not mistaken.
Yogi,
it speaks to that movie Firefox with Clint Eastwood, where he'd go into Russian territory and steal the ship.
When I picked the Cutlass, because it's a very versatile ship again. It is like it is a small ship that has already multi-crew functionality.
You made it back.
It has a turret. It has a co-pilot seat, and you can use it for like hauling some cargo around. And if you use it properly, you can do a lot of damage. And plus, I would assume a lot of players have it. Because it's a lot smaller than the Constellation. So I went with the Cutlass. It's also like I spent a lot of time developing for this thing when we did the turret updates. It's the easiest ship to spawn and sit in the turret right away, and only having one turret, which is great for debugging.
All right. Will, who should win?
I mean, that's an interesting point that a lot of people have the Cutlass. I mean, metagaming this, do you think people are more likely to vote for ships that are inside their fleet over something that they aspire towards or don't actually have as part of one of their ships? Interesting. I voted for the Cutlass Black for many of the same reasons that Yogi said. When I'm heading out for a mission, it's very much my go-to. It's got the cargo room. It can hold its own in a fight. It's scrappy. It gets it done. Anytime you need it, it's there for you. So.
All right. Elwin?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I agree with all the points that have been made so far. I actually think both of these ships are fairly similar in terms of what they can provide from a gameplay standpoint. So for me, it really just came down to more of an aesthetic thing. If we were talking about the previous version of the Cutlass, it would have been the Constellation that I think should have won. But at the moment, the current Cutlass has such an aggressive posture when it's sitting on the landing pad. to me, I just think it looks awesome. If you're in this dark landing pad with maybe some mist or smoke or something like that with the headlights on, it just looks very intimidating. So I like that feel. So for me, I think it should be the Cutlass Black.
Okay, Tyler, bring it home.
This one's easy. Should be the Cutlass. I'm skipping ahead. It will be the Cutlass.
On that one.
It's just, this is a community favorite, and I have access to the analytics to support that.
All right, let's talk about the constellation though. The constellation, I don't think we'd. Obviously, everybody was in agreement. We look at the voting. The community is in agreement, but the constellation is still rocking about 36% of the vote here. What reasons could people be voting for the constellation? What's great about the constellation that could make it win?
I mean that drop down storage area, like pulling the vehicle into it, is pretty sweet when you get down on a planet. I mean, its 4 like big main thrusters on the side are kind of iconic, and I think, you know, I've had a lot of my earlier first multiplayer experiences in Star Citizen on a Constellation Andromeda, and there's a lot of good feelings there about the crew getting together on that ship. And it's small, it's compact, it's, you know, it's focused, but it still has enough room for you and your friends to go out and have adventures. So I like that.
A lot of folks in the chat are saying that the Connie needs a rework. It is one of the signature ships of Star Citizen. It was one of the original 5 that was introduced back in the Kickstarter campaign. It's got the RSI name on it. I mean, that's got CR's name on it. It's the Connie was meant to be this multi-role superiority ship that it's got the parasite craft and the missile arrays and the turrets, and does a little bit of so many things. If the Cutlass is winning today, would you bet against the Constellation in the long run, though? I mean, is it always going to be second fiddle to the Cutlass, or do you think there's room for some improvement there in the future without committing to anything? Because none of us are the people that would be doing the work.
Yeah, Elwin, can you confirm if the Connie's getting a rework on stream?
I can't talk about future planned work. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of design elements in this ship that I think could be improved. Like, me personally, I'm not the hugest fan of having both turret entrances in the same spot, so players kind of have to wait to get in and out. But I do think it's really cool that it has its own kind of dedicated dock for the Merlin. And I think in the long run, I think the Constellation will start getting a little bit more love, just because it does give you a little bit more space to bring more people to be able to actually do things on the ship while you're exploring, and it has actually a lot more cargo that it can haul around. So it does everything that the Cutlass does, but I think just a tiny bit bigger, a tiny bit better. So in the long run, I think you might get more bang for your buck on the Constellation.
Okay, Admiral, what do you think about this Cutlass versus the Connie?
I'm gonna have to agree with them. Get the more cargo space, and especially with the Taurus coming up pretty soon, that's being worked on now, you're gonna get a lot more cargo. Mm-hmm. Originally, this was like the first missile boat before the Mist came out. Mm-hmm. So this is like the one ship you wouldn't want to go near because it would just take you out. They also didn't mention the fact that it actually has docking collars. So it would be nice to see what happens when we can use that. And I think it's just a lot more flexible in terms of armaments and upgrades and stuff like that. I think it'd be pretty dangerous. And then the shield, of course, is going to be a lot better than a Cutlass Black. It's safer. Death of a Spaceman, you want to go in that instead of the Cutlass Black. But I love the Cutlass Black. It's great for what it does.
Kimmy?
Good points there, Admiral. Overall, I would definitely agree with you. I would only add this to your statement, is that with the Cutlass, you land on planet, you're getting out on foot. Whereas with the Connie, you're in the Ursa rover, looking around, finding out what to do. And you have that versatility with that ship. But also you have that added extra layer of protection where you can have the Merlin recon the area while you're either on foot or in a vehicle. Let me recant that. It can accommodate the Ursa rover because the variant will have it included, but you can still go and say, okay, I want to add a vehicle to the ship, and it will accommodate. And so you have air support while you're traveling, so you're actually protected from whatever's out there while you're in the Ursa. And we saw that on the Lear 3 demo of the Sandworm, similar to that. So what you're speaking on, Admiral, I like that because I have to agree. I nickname it Connie Annie. She provides so much versatility with what you're doing, and it's accommodating as well. And you can it's big enough, right, for other people, but it's small enough that you can go solo with it, as the guy on Lear 3 did. So yeah, I like that. Good point.
Well, it's funny when you brought up about the rover. So Orgmate, he was streaming, and I was kind of stream sniping him, and he was taking the tumbrel out. I think whatever that the Daymar Rally location, and it was the time when wheels would just break off your truck. Wow. So I actually loaded up my own tumbrel and took. I think I had a Connie at the time, and I just flew. And he's like, he broke down. I was like, oh, I'm near you. I'll pick you up. I'm like, so then I dropped down. And I'm like, hey, check out the back. And I put the thing down, and there was a brand new tumbrel. So he's like, oh, I could take this. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, take it and finish your stream. So
very cool.
Neat.
It's very versatile. Cool. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. Nice. I think for these two ships, it's interesting. The original version of the Cutlass Black totally did not interest me. I didn't like the design of it. I didn't like the flippy engines. It was real wonky. So I went to the Connie. That was the next step for me when I upgraded my ships. Then once they did the rework on it, I love the Cutlass Black. It's a great ship because it's so multi-purpose. You can be a one-man person in it. You have the side doors where if you've got 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of your buddies, they can jump out those side doors without even having to lower the back ramp. It can carry cargo. It does have the turret, so someone else can help you defend. It's very agile, and flying it is pretty easy to do, and it can be upgraded very well. But
the bunks.
With all of that, I still prefer the Connie. Now, I think that there's a big difference. There's one of the differences that they didn't talk about, and that's the price point on these two ships. The Connie is $225 or $275 now, whatever it is, where the Cutlass, you come in at $100 and you get all that multi-purpose use out of that ship. So you're talking $150, $175 difference between those two ships. And I think it's just much more that ship that people keep because they know they can use it for anything. The Connie's the same way to a certain degree, but the Connie's a bit more of a beast. It's multi-purpose just as much. The missiles on it, oh my God. And I went out with a guy who loaded his guns up with nothing but revenants. He blew everything out of the sky that was in front of him. It freaked me out. I'd never seen anybody do that before. Powerful ship. But that price point to me makes a big difference as to why so many people, as Tyler said, in the game actually may own a Cutlass Black versus a Connie. That's my 2 cents on that one.
That's a good point.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump on to the next one here. Let's see.
I was real happy to see it in the Sweet 16. I think it's a ship that should get a little more attention on it. I remember
Avenger and the
back
Reliant.
when we were first kind of brainstorming the Reliant and going off this idea that Misk had this early trade deal with the Xi'an. And so we had said that they started using Xi'an thrusters in the Freelancer, but this was the next evolution. And so taking that idea of Xi'an verticality and applying it to a human ship was so interesting to me. And so it has that amazing transformation with the cockpit just floating in the middle there. And it's kind of got this more like scientific, like thinking man ship edge to it. It's a little bit different. Yeah, it just gets me excited.
Now, this vote is specifically for the Reliant Core, which is the cargo hauler version, if I'm not mistaken. Elwin, what did you pick, the Reliant or the Avenger, which is also the Titan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I definitely went with the Reliant. Now I'm biased because I did a lot of the work on this ship. So take that with a grain of salt. But I do think that the rotating cockpit, even with all of the complications that it came with in development and some of the headaches that it causes players, I love seeing that ship take off and rotate. It's just really cool to kind of see the entire cockpit rotate around you while you stay in the exact same orientation and go into flight mode. I also like the way the thrusters are integrated in this. I like that they have that taste of sort of the Xi'an look. Kind of like the flying eyeballs. I like the way they rotate. I don't know. There's just a lot of things I like about this ship. I like the overall silhouette. Yeah, I definitely think it should win.
All right, Tyler, tell them why they're wrong.
The Avenger Titan is a community classic. I think it's the ship I see most flying in the verse. I think that it's accessible. It's a nice all-rounder. It's a little penguin-y. I think it's a no-brainer. I'm going with the Avenger Titan should win.
The Avenger Titan should win.
Yes.
All right, Yogi.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion here. I think the Avenger Titan is just a nice all-rounder. It has like some internal capacity, and it looks just really sleek from every angle that you can think of. And yeah, I think a lot of players like it, so I would say the Titan should win.
The Avenger is a good-looking ship, man. It was one of, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was one of Nate Dearsley's first ships for the project. Back
Yeah,
when.
it was like was it 1.0? It was like the end of 2014. I think it was like right after I joined.
Yeah,
it's a classic.
And then it had the rework a couple years ago that made it even better. I've always been enthralled with the one of my favorite movies of all time is Blues Brothers. So having when the first version had the faded police decals on it, like it used to be like an old police cruiser, that made me fall in love with it. It also occupies this very weird place where it's kind of a starter, but it's not. It's like it wasn't listed as one of the starter ships, but it's been available for pledge since almost the beginning of the project, and it's one of those evergreen ships that are always available. So it's kind of grown into the role of a pretty solid starter there. And I just I don't know, when I look at this whole thing, and I mean I'm not part of this contest. I'm just offering my things. I can't shut up. I think the Avenger could actually go all the way on this thing, but that's my thing. So who did we pick would win? You will.
Okay, Admiral. Hooray versus Avenger Titan.
Well, my pick would be Eagle 5 from the Spaceballs movie, because I could use a little Winnebago right now. But I think I like the Avenger. I think if I recall correctly, it was my first ship, but that middle door kept killing me, and I couldn't get in and out of it, and I lost my mind, and I think I upgraded to something else. I think I actually went to the black after that. And the Reliant, I just can't get over the fact that you can't go to the back of the ship and do stuff if you have it like flipped or whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird, and but like the Avenger, I mean, it reminds me of like the space shuttle tiles on it, like the heat shield and stuff like that. It's so cool. They upgraded it. You know, I think they did a great job. Who knows? Maybe I'll buy it again.
Okay. Kimmy?
Good deal. Well, I don't have either of the ships currently, but I want to channel Gigi. If she was here, she was like, definitely the Avenger, because it's maneuverable. It's not too much ship.
Funny, that's what she says.
It flies great. I can run my cargo, and I can do what I need to do, and not worry about anything else.
And
so
it's true.
She makes a good point there. And even though I don't have that ship, I flown it on a free fly week or something, and it's a wonderful ship to fly in. I've seen very well skilled pilots work the hell out of that ship. In the 6 degrees of freedom, it's hard to deal with. It's very agile and fast. So with that said, to Admiral's point about the low canopy in the ships for both of them, it was an issue. And so what they recently did with the Avenger to make it even more appealing now, remember back when they did the demo of the chapter 8, and they also when they did the demo where you did the mission with Mark Hamill, they were also showing off the rework of the Avenger. So now the canopy or the is much taller. You're not bending your back over. It's more room in it, and they even added the texture. So it, as to Tyler's point, it reminds you of a penguin. But if you really apply that to real life, it looks like the shuttle.
Right.
It reminds you. It focuses on the old space shuttle that was recently retired. But to the point, yeah, my opinion is on the Avenger. But I did used to own the original Reliant Core because it harkened back to the days of Star Wars, the game, the X-wing game, and then the added, what is it, the DLC pack or the expansion pack had the B-wing bomber. It was inspired by that. And I said, man, I got to have it. But it was just a little paper tiger. They recently upgraded the weapons. But when I was on the chat, I said to Yogi in real time, and their opinion aligned with my my opinion to him. I said, hey, Yogi, work on the 6 degrees of freedom with that ship, because it is a offshoot of the Xi'an technology. If you can work that flight model a little better for it, it's going to bring people back. But I do like the variants for it, but still, my money is on the Titan Avenger.
Okay. And like you guys, the Avenger was my first ship. It was my second ship, actually, or first or second ship. I can't remember now. But it threw me back to, as Kimmy said, NASA. It threw me back to the space shuttle. And it had the same look, the tiles, the black and white thing. And it was like the thing that was most familiar, I guess you could say. So that was the route I ended up going to. So, okay. We, between those two, I didn't queue for the next ship. Give me one second.
I do want to see
again.
what they do with the news version.
That's really cool, Adam. Good
the
point.
Mako.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I love the premise of that idea.
Yeah, the Mako, absolutely. Okay, here we go.
Prowler, Elwin, start us off on this. 2 drop
Valkyrie
ships.
versus Prowler.
Who do you pick?
All right. Well, so look, I worked on one of these 2 ships, being the Prowler. And there's a lot of things I really love about the Prowler, a lot of things that we did that I think are really, really cool. But ultimately, I do think that the Valkyrie probably should win. And the reason for that comes down to purely gameplay. And here, let me point out a couple of things, right? One, I like that the Valkyrie has enough space for you to bring in some ground equipment, other vehicles. As a dropship, if what you want to do is bring the most number of people along with you, the interior of the Valkyrie just has more floor space for you to actually pack people in, regardless of whether they're sitting down or not. And the side guns that are mounted on the Valkyrie can actually protect your players when you're dropping them off, whereas the one on the Prowler is mounted in a place where it doesn't really provide a lot of support on the ground. So for those reasons, I think the Valkyrie should win, although I do really like the Prowler.
It's hard to argue against those side guns. The first time I saw the whole Apocalypse Now, hanging out the side of a Huey side guns, it's like, as cool as the Prowler is, and it is so cool. How do you, Tyler? Who should win?
I think the Prowler is the sexier ship. The startup animations, the silhouette, it's just artistically, I would vote the Prowler. However, I also went with the Valkyrie should win, just for gameplay reasons. I think that if you're going to be a drop ship, being able to bring more supplies, vehicles, you're equipped and you're ready to go, and I think that outdoes the hover mechanics of the Prowler. So Valkyrie it is for me.
Did you go with that? Because I'm looking at the list and I see that you picked the Prowler should win.
I emailed you at 3:24 p.m. yesterday. Day 7 should win Valkyrie.
All right. Then our checklist is wrong. JJ,
I think you're trying to rig this.
No. JJ can vouch. We just got it in the wrong thing. We have you listed as Prowler.
Jared,
hey,
this is your dad speaking. I told you before you went on that show to behave yourself. This is what you get for choosing Microsoft Teams.
Tyler was acting up.
Sorry, I don't know what just happened.
All right, Yogi. Who should win?
I'm with the Valkyrie as well. There was this fun thing which I had found out about the ship. So when we were working on the turret updates, right, we knew about the side guns. I mean, the side miniguns, they're already great. Like you sit in the remote seat, and then you can just like, you have a really wide angle where you can like suppress enemy fire and so on. But then somebody pointed out, hey, there are turrets on the doors. So I was like, oh my god, there are actually turrets there, right? Like the side guns. That's amazing. So if I'm thinking about like sitting in a fight, I'm trying to kill a Valkyrie, like while it's landing and dropping out of stuff, there will be bullet streams coming out of the ship everywhere, and that is super impressive. So for me, and for the reasons that the other guy said, like having more space to bring ground equipment and so on, it's just like the perfect dropship for me. So yeah, I'll stay with the I think the Valkyrie should win.
All right. Explain to people what's on the side of your headset before we move on.
That's a Tracker R. It allows me to move my head in the game.
And how much are you getting paid by Tracker to wear it?
Nothing.
Well, who should win, Valkyrie or the Prowler?
Prowler. He's wrong.
Wrong. I mean, like just the Tavaran styling is amazing to me. I love the air shield tech. I love the cockpit and the unique control. The way that you steer the ship is just beautiful to me, and I think while the Valkyrie has that traditional like ground assault feel to it, like with that air shield tack, if you're going to be boarding a spaceship, like you've just like shot out like a javelin's thrusters and it's floating there, and you swoop in with your Prowler and your guys just float out into the cold black to do a boarding action. I think Prowler.
He gets to use like fancy narrative verbiage.
We all have English language words we can use, Tyler.
yeah, whatever. You're just better at it than I am. I guess it's a good thing.
All right. So
good to see those guys.
Looks like the community agrees with you. No. On the Valkyrie. Who did you pick should win? Who did you pick should win, Owen?
Yeah, it makes me sad. I wish I could have said the Prowler, just because there's a lot of things we did on that I really love, but I ultimately think that, yeah, the Valkyrie, the gameplay it provides is just superior, I think.
But it's not too late, community. Vote Prowler. There's still time.
Yes, please vote Prowler.
But you did pick would win Valkyrie, though, didn't you?
I did, but I'm willing to take the L on the point there just to get like the victory for the Prowler.
All right, Tyler.
He sent you an email
who'd you said would win?
I was pretty confident, even though I said the Valkyrie should win. I was pretty confident that the aesthetic of the Prowler would push it into being the winner, and I look like I was wrong.
Yep. Yeah. You said the Valkyrie would win. You said the Valkyrie would win.
Yeah.
Yep. Yogi, who'd you say would win?
No, I said I said the Prowler would win, so I'm losing.
Oh, you said the Prowler would win?
That's why I did.
We obviously messed up our scoring on day 7, so JJ's fixing it for me. Yogi?
Okay.
I said Valkyrie, and for the reason that the Prowler has some aesthetics that make it look really, really mean from the inside and the outside. I mean, have you gone in there? I mean, there's this ladder which you go up, and it's so twisted and weirdly angled. It's amazing, but also when I am in the ship, I feel actually more evil than I think I am, and I would think that the community kind of like has the same feelings towards that ship. It is a nice and interesting ship, but I would still say the Valkyrie will win this round.
Right.
I would count that as a success.
Yogi, how evil do you think you are?
Oh man, I'm not really evil. I wish I would be evil, but I'm so nice.
All right, Will, who'd you pick would win?
Prowler. I was wrong apparently, but I just thought everyone would be there with me.
All right. Well, the Valkyrie did win our vote today. We will see how it fares on the official vote in a.
Okay, guys. Admiral, what's your vote?
My vote is going to be the Valkyrie.
Okay.
The Prowler is very cool. The air shields are kind of interesting. When you turn the windscreen on, it is probably the coolest thing in the game. If you haven't been in that ship, you have to go and fly it. like, wow. But like they said, like, so the Prowler it's kind of like an infiltration ship. You're gonna put down a sniper team or whatever. Maybe a spy, drop a spy down or pick somebody up. The Valkyrie's like a war zone ship, like they're talking about, and you've got the pilot's guns. You have a top turret, bottom turret, and then you have the wing guns, and plus you have the door gunners. So it's what is that, like 7 guns, all ballistic, at least stock. I mean, that's insane. And plus you can bring out it has some cargo. Thankfully they allow people to bring a vehicle on it now, because originally that wasn't the plan. But yeah, I think it's great. And of course it has VTOL. I'm not sure how the Prowler works with VTOL, how good it is, but I imagine it's pretty good. But
well,
the Valkyrie.
Yeah, I'll have to join you guys on the Valk. The Prowler's nice. I don't own one. I was very tempted to get one when it came out. It was a beautiful ship. They both are designed to carry people in, as you mentioned, but very different ways. Where the Prowler has much more of a stealth, coming in at nighttime, like dropping off, like what would be the equivalent of Navy SEALs. This covert type of drop. The Valkyrie, on the other hand, is like, it doesn't make a difference what's going on the ground. We're flying in, and it's got the armament, it's got the weapons, not to mention 20 people that it can carry, vehicle it can carry. Not to mention that you could put guys on the sides with rail guns even and fire out the doors if you wanted to. I mean, there's just a lot to that ship. And so it is one of the ships I do own, just because, once again, I'm more of a support guy. So I love being the guy who's going to be piloting it into a war zone and dropping off the teams and getting out or extracting. That's something that I'm really cool and really want to do. So yeah, that's the one I went with as well. I think we're almost there, guys. Hang in there. I know
you guys cleaned up, man. It make this so hard to follow. You guys make great points. To filter what you are all saying, you have offense, you have defense, and you can filter those in appropriate boxes, offense and defense, as to what you guys were saying. The Prowler has stealth. Valkyrie is more on the offensive, is more visceral. It gets in that hot zone and it's going at it. Whereas the Prowler, you want to be able to get into the area stealthily, but also it has those shields to protect the ship. With that said, the Prowler, you're just standing around when you compare it to the Valkyrie, as you mentioned, Griff, where each man can get to a station and be a part of the battle or the interaction. I like that. And a couple of fun facts here. As the show started, we were talking about the container systems, and that's one of the things that incorporates that works with the Prowler. You can actually open up the bay, open up the doors in vacuum of space, and it has special shields that will hold back the vacuum of space. So your environment is protected with the Prowler. And the other part, when you look at the Valkyrie, it was one of the first ships that was concept and flight ready at CitizenCon in 2018. And so fun facts there with that ship, with those two ships. The other thing, back to Elwin, did you hear what he was saying? This dude, they're proud of their work, man. It's not like he was bragging, but they are very proud of their work. And if you turn that, you turn that into 180, and when they have these tech hurdles, can you imagine how bad they feel that they can't keep moving or progressing with this project? That's just one of the points I wanted to bring out when taking all this in. But yeah, I have to go with the Valkyrie.
Okay. Admiral, something you were going to say?
I don't know, but one thing I will add is that I was just thinking when he was talking about the Valkyrie, I should say the Prowler. I want to take a stopwatch and see how quick you can unload those ships. Because the troops for the Prowler, they're facing the door. There's no door they have to run out, and they literally have to just pop out of a little seat, and they're out.
Very true.
If you're coming down in turbulence, they're going to add, atmospheric weather and stuff like that. That's going to be stronger in the body and might knock you out or whatnot. you're sitting in those seats in the middle of the Valkyrie. So it'd be interesting to see if you had like a little stopwatch for both of them in 2 different teams to see how long it takes them to get out of there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would think you probably have to utilize those 2 side doors in order to try to keep up with the prowlers exiting. You know what I mean? Because trying to get everybody even out that back ramp, I'd have to worry about vulnerability, because all you got to do is just have somebody throw a grenade at that ramp and it's over with. You know?
Or a launcher.
A launcher.
Bro,
yeah,
I'm launching, man.
launcher. Yeah,
I got that grenade launcher right next patch.
It's like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan.
Hitting the beach.
Thing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit the beach.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 they're done.
Yeah, that's very true.
Oh, that's strong point.
You have the ship that just go on the side.
Very true. Okay, here we go.
To shine. Joran, Yacht Club, forgive me. I love y'all.
890 against the Razor, guys. 890 against the Razor.
So go ahead and vote that. And if you do, maybe we'll do like a giveaway. I got stickers. I'm here to bribe you. Microtech. We got Pico stickers. Vote the Razor.
I don't know how fair that is. Yogi.
Nobody set any rules. You just invited me.
It's totally unfair. So I think the 890 should win, because in terms of like role-playing game for Star Citizen, this is one of the best ships you can actually get. A couple of months ago, we did like a playtest, and I remember Dave Colson and me were like walking through the 890 and just going through again like the eating space, like where I can sit down and have like dinner, and we just sat across each other and took like and just like thought, hey, how cool would it be just to eat here, right? And then you can just go up and sit somewhere on a couch and gaze out there at the stars. There's like not a lot of gameplay there yet, but it kind of like communicates the dream that Star Citizen is really, really well, and you can just get lost in it. So I think this is why the 890 should win, just for that kind of experience. I mean, the Razor is a small racer, right? It looks like a really cool Formula One car, but I think the Dream is sold better with the 890.
All right, Will.
I thought the Razor should win over the 890. I like the kind of backstory that we put into the Razor of Misk trying to achieve more, tying into the Xi'an a little bit of the endurance racing that we gave for them, that like the Xi'an were kind of doing Le Mans style, like really like long races, and the Razor would maybe be a little more suited for that than the straightaway more traditional Murray Cup. And so the idea of humans starting to get into the Xi'an style racing and the Misk, designing the Razor a little bit to appeal to that was very interesting to me, and I like how it looks. And Razor.
All right, Elwin.
Yeah, so I ended up first of all, I was like, these are completely different, but for me, definitely the Razor. I just think aesthetically the lines are beautiful. I love like the obvious F1 influences on it, and I'm a fan of seeing as many kind of racing ships as we can get into the game. So if we can get more of them in there and make that more popular by getting the Razor to win, I'm all for it. I like the way they also integrated the Xi'an tech, the way Will mentioned, but from an artistic standpoint, it harkens back to also the way the Reliant does it, but in its kind of own way, right? Like if you look at the engines, you can see they're kind of from the same family as the Reliant, but it's integrated in a way that's kind of unique to this ship, which I really love. So at the end of the day, aesthetically, I think the lines on this ship are really beautiful, and I kind of wish we had more ships like this in the game.
All right, so wow, three votes for the Razor, only one in support of the 890 jump.
Your mic.
I'm sorry. This is such a weird mix between these two. Admiral, what are you going for, the Razor or
Admiral.
the 890?
So the regular Razor, like the racing one, then I'd probably pick the 890 just because it's so. I mean, they can do everything, and it's really cool. It's a beautiful ship. If I could use my Razor EX and get my little stealth ship in there, then I would pick that because I can use that ship to get to my Carrack with no one seeing me, or get away from it, or any other similar ship. You can just get in and out fast as heck. But but if it's just a regular Razor, the racing ship, I'll just pick the 890, just because it has everything. It has a dining. I mean, it has everything. It has a bar, a conference table that your org can go to and talk about who stinks and who we should fire and who we should, who's not mining enough.
Okay. Kimmy, which one, the Razor or the 890?
Oh no. Me, between you and that Origin 890, you first, Griff. You first.
Me first? Okay. I have to go with the Admiral, something he said here. First of all, I think that the Razor is probably the coolest looking of the racing ships. If it was the EX, I wouldn't put it over the 890, but I think that one blows all racers out of the water to me. It's a great design, very different, very fast too. But I'm an Origin guy, not just because I'm an Origin guy, but the 890, something that Will said, and it's the immersion aspect, or not, that wasn't Will, the other guy, I can't think of his name now, but the fact that you can go on that ship, and I know for some people, they don't get it. I know there's some people who just don't get the whole luxury thing. But I know when Invictus went on, some of us in test got together and we told everybody that, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to watch the fleet when it comes in. And we had tons of people who loaded onto the 890s, and I was piloting and flew them out and turned the ship a certain way so that everybody could sit down in that outer lobby area and chill and watch as the Javelin and the Idris came in and watch the fireworks. And people, I mean, this was like for an hour and a half. They just hung around on that ship. And it wasn't like they were running around and being goofy. They were talking and just having some social time. That's one of the things I think that ship is going to be great for. In the commercial, we saw them taking it up to the 10th level by having opera and parties. And yeah, maybe there will be some cool aspects like that to do in the game, but I just like it as a social platform. You've got military platforms, you've got trading platforms, but the 890 for me is a social platform, and it's hard for me to even put this in the same category with the Razor. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Kimmy?
Yeah, two distinct and different type of ships. I think we just had a lack of ships to compare it fairly. Because when you look at the Razor, it harkens to the old school Sega Genesis game, the F1 Racer, real life, truly F1 in design, a very beautiful design in itself. But then it falls under that unrealized potential, because racing will become a thing in game. So if we had that actually in game, we'd probably having a different conversation. And so when you go over to the 890, I immediately go back to Fifth Element. I don't know if anyone has seen that movie, but if you have not, please check it out. But 890 harkens to the Fifth Element. But then there was also the aspect of, you have some backers who say, hey, there's way too many military ships. So this was a refreshing take on this type of ship that was more about touring, going to these vistas and locations, but at the same time, not being a military ship and being able to protect itself based upon its shields and its capabilities. But for me, being a multi-crew or a type of person, and like you said, Griff, those interactions and that social module that's imminent, that's coming into play, and accommodating all these people, it's got to be 890 jump. It's got to be the 890 jump for me.
Okay. So, Admiral, now we're wrapping this up here. Out of all the ships that we saw, whether they were the winners or not of their day, if there was a ship that you think this year will be the one at the top of the tier, last year it was the Caterpillar. Which one do you think will be the one that'll take it this year?
Looking at the list now. Probably something stupid like the Razor. I kind of think that the Carrack has really shown its potential. This time last year, I think we were still waiting for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And certainly, it has proven to be a really nice ship, and it's only not even fleshed out yet. But the Caterpillar, I don't know. I'm hoping the Carrack will win you know, it's going against the Caterpillar the next round, so it's one or the other. I just can't imagine like any other ship on this list making it aside from maybe the Prowler. But I think it might be the Prowler against the Carrack in the finale.
Okay.
I don't know.
Hey, everybody, real quick, we're going to do a giveaway tonight. My stupid raffle thing, or my macro is acting dopey. But if you would like to be in the giveaway, let's see. I'm going to tell you what the magic word is. Hold on. The magic word is going to be... give me 1 second. We're going to make the magic word... the keyword, I should say. Why is this thing doing weird stuff tonight? Hold on a second. Oh, okay. Hold on.
Did the Valk win or did the Prowler win? I think it was a Valk one, right? Kimmy from the video, did they? Who won?
Well, who went forward was the Carrack and the Caterpillar so far. From
officially, but from the stream, I think who was the crowd rooting for? Was it the Prowler or the Valkyrie?
I thought it was the Razor, wasn't it?
No, he meant just now when they were. I don't know. I don't remember on the show which one it was that won. We'll have to go back and look at it, Admiral.
Yeah, I think it was it could have been the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word for tonight. The word for tonight is ! Booze. Yes, as in alcohol. Whoever wins the giveaway tonight will get the Spirits wine locker, the cabinet thing. You guys know what it's called. I can't even think of the name of the thing now.
Dingleberry.
Let me think. What is this thing called? It's called the yeah, I know. I can't think of the name of it right now.
No, look at Dingleberries when he put on the thing.
Oh God, not boobs, booze.
No, it's glasses, dingle glasses.
Booze. All right,
Spirits.
So yeah, you guys can hang on 1 second here. I have to do something else here. Hang on. Oh God, what is going on tonight?
Question I wanted to ask you, what
okay, there we go.
Time zone you in?
I'm in Central, and Kimmy's Eastern.
I'm Eastern.
Okay, so you were saying that you're in Central, and at the time, Chris Roberts posted that at 4 something in the morning?
It was at 5 for me.
Yep.
So 4 a.m. for you at Central.
I think it was 5:04.
Yeah, so that would be right. It was 5 o'clock for folks on the East Coast. Yeah. All right, ! Booze if you're interested in getting the Mr. So-and-so's Spirits and Wine cabinet that goes into your hangar. Since we're sitting in the 600s lounge area and bar, we're going to give one of those away tonight. It's a subscriber exclusive, so if you're not a subscriber, it's kind of difficult to get unless someone gives one to you. So we're going to do that in about 1 minute. So hit ! Booze if you're interested. I'm sure many of you already have one, but if you don't, this is a great opportunity to get one for free.
I was 3 minutes off, Admiral. He posted it at 5:07 a.m.
Okay, Kimmy, did you tell me which ship that you thought was going to win out of all of them?
Oh, you mean who versus who?
Yeah, out of all the ships we looked at tonight, which one do you think is going to be the one that takes the crown?
I think Admiral had it summed up, but I think we disagreed on, even though it was funny. I think it's going to come down to the 890 and the Carrack. And when you look at that, I think there's a fair comparison between the two when you're looking at a realized potential, or most of our backers are understanding of that potential between the two. Okay. So that's going to be a good one in that sense, because you have an established backers for the 890. You have established backers for the Carrack. So I would love to see that come down to that showdown between the two. And with that said, I don't own an 890, but I do own a Carrack. And with that said, I'm going to wait and see.
Okay, fair enough.
Because
I could have swore he was going to say Eagle 5.
right. Well, I'm gonna go for the Carrack. As much as I have an 890, love the 890, but again, the Carrack is like the go-to ship for folks when it comes to multiplayer in the game right now. The 890 is not. It's still a little bit exclusive for a lot of players, and more people have access to Carracks than I think 890s. So I think just the popularity, not because one is necessarily better than the other, because they're two different ships. But I would definitely say that it's going to be the Carrack this year. There was so much anticipation with it from last year. It's almost a year later, and people are still loving it just as much as they were when it first came out. So, yeah, I think it's going to be the Carrack. So there we go. All right, so one more second here. I know I said it was going to be 1 minute for the raffle. Exclamation point booze, as in liquor, as in alcohol, as in imbibement. If you're interested in getting into this raffle, and we're going to go ahead and get ready to do this. In 3, 2, and 1, and the winner is F-Falx. F-Falx? E-Falx? Flanks? How do you pronounce it? Phalanx? Thank you, E-Phalanx. E-Phalanx, you have won. You have won the liquor cabinet.
Congrats, E-Phalanx.
You can put that in your hangar and get smashed anytime you'd like. E-Phalanx, you are the winner. E-Phalanx, if you would, please send me either a DM to me, Griffin Gaming, or you can send us an email. You've got one. Well, now you can, if you've got another hangar, mind you, don't forget, you can only put that in one of your hangars. So if you pull it out of one to put it in the other, you only got one. So if you want to have the second one, you can put it in a second hangar, and I'm sure you've got more than one hangar probably. So if you're interested in getting it, send me a Gmail to soulcitizens@gmail. Soul Citizens with an S on the end, SOL Citizens, like our name, and we will get it to you. Okay. You may want to give it to someone else. Okay. If you're willing to have a re-roll, that's very kind of you. We truly appreciate it. All right. We're going to disqualify you, which you are disqualified now, and we're going to roll one more time on the count. It was once again exclamation point booze if you're interested in getting this. And we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the winner is Dingleberries. Dingleberries, you are the winner of the alcohol cabinet. You can thank Mr. E for that, for being so gracious. And thank you for having us re-roll that. And you are in Dingleberries. Okay, well, listen,
you owe E-Phalanx a drink.
There you go. If nothing else, let them have a guzzle out of that thing once you get it mounted on your wall in your hangar. That'll probably be the thing to do. Listen, we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We know it was a long night tonight. We covered a lot of ground, but as always, we appreciate you guys. It was, and as always, Admiral Kusanagi, thanks for dropping in and just chatting with us. We really appreciate it. Admiral is our biggest advocate for trying to encourage folks to jump in with us. So he's setting the example here. He's setting the example.
I'm trying to set the example. I'm trying to get people to buy some Soul Citizen mugs and some other merchandise.
Shameless plug. Oh no, we were that close to getting away from it.
Listen, don't pay attention to Kimmy, because Kimmy's not buying these mugs and these shirts. So don't listen to him. I tell you, yeah, you're absolutely right. We need as many donations as possible. Anything. Hey, wait a minute. Shame. We gave away a ship last week. We gave away 2 ships last week, and I don't remember any of us contributing to that. That money came from our supporters and our fans, and we love you guys for that. If you look at our subscriber list, oh, by the way, I do have to say this. Ops Chief is at the top of our subscriber list. He has been such a great person and has been donating to us. And because of his contributions, we've been able to give away ships. We take the money and literally turn it right back around and give it back to you guys in the community. I don't know what Kimmy's issue is with that, because we don't get the money. It goes back into you guys. So we're going to continue to do that. I don't know why he doesn't want to give y'all nothing, but y'all take that up with him. Y'all can write to Kimmy on that one.
Oh, no, you're not.
Okay? Write to Kimmy on that one. I'm just kidding. Kimmy's just giving us a tease and a hard time. But hey, guys, thank you guys so much again for hanging out with us. And Dingleberries, once again, congratulations. And again, thank you guys for the support. You guys have a great weekend. Come back on Sunday. Kimmy touched on this earlier. This Sunday, you guys may not know this, but all during the year, we've been working toward what would have been CitizenCon 2020 or 2950. That was our goal. The reason why we were each month doing one of the CitizenCons is that our goal was that when we got to October, we would have been, in fact, Kimmy was going to be there. Fast Cart was going to be there. Green Eyed Gal was going to be there. 10th Sigma was going to be there, and we were going to try and actually be there and do something as well for you guys. But of course, as you know, CitizenCon was canceled. So this week coming up will be CitizenCon 2018. This Sunday, we're going to be going over that. And Kimmy was there, I was there, Fastcart was there, and our special guest this Sunday, Geo Got Money, will be there on with the show with us this Sunday too. And we were all there in 2018 in Austin. So you guys want to come to this show. It's going to be really great because we're going to talk about our experiences there as well as go through the show. Kimmy made reference to it earlier about that was the Sandworm year. And we saw a lot of stuff that year. So please join us Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Get to see Kimmy again, get to see me. You get to see Fastcart. You get to see Geo Got Money. We won't have Admiral Kusanagi in the room with us, but he's always here and he's supporting us as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. Other than that, if that's not it, Kimmy, anything else before? Oh, Kimmy, tell people where they can find you. Please tell people where
you can find me on Twitch, everyone. Kimmy65, chill music, gameplay, whole task setup. If you got questions about it, whether you want to go dual stick, the controls and inputs, any questions regarding that, hit me up and we can do this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Admiral, thank you again. You have a great weekend.
7 Admiral.
All of our supporters, love you guys as always. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, follow us here as well. And hopefully we'll see you guys on Sunday night. You guys take care of yourselves, stay healthy, peace, love, and soul. We need to raid somebody, Kimmy, and I didn't even look up and see who's on.
Oh my gosh,
it's so
I'm looking right now.
Who's anybody good? Is there anybody you see out here we should be hitting up with the raid? We could hit, you know, we haven't hit. We haven't hit
Star Citizen.
Yeah, we haven't hit Vindy or Verity rather. I've been meaning to hit her, and we have not hit her. So let's do her real quick.
Sounds good. Verity. Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Why did my gosh?
Your mic went out, Griff.
No, I'm typing and talking. I'm not keying my mic. That's all. Okay, so we're going out to Verity Gang. You guys make sure you say hello, give her a shout, give her some support, give her a follow even. She's been out here playing the game for a bit now, and she's one of the few females out here who's really into playing Star Citizen consistently on Twitch. So give her a shout, send her some love. We'll see you guys later. Peace, love, and soul.
Hardy 07's out there. Thanks.